When he despised Wei Xiaobei for showing his brute strength, he had forgotten that he, himself, also loved to show off in the same way. From this, it can be seen that a man's thoughts and words did not depend on their brain but on where their butts were sitting. When the two people finally arrived at the cafeteria, Wei Xiaobei finally came back to his sense. "Aya, little senior apprentice sister, these are the things that master wanted me to give you." Qing Si also returned to her senses. She extended her hand and took the bag while complaining, "My junior apprentice brother's head is getting dumber. Carrying such a big bag here in vain. Why don't we eat breakfast first and then let your junior apprentice brother send you back?" Wei Xiaobei was careful with his words. He knew that his little senior apprentice sister's temper was about to erupt in any moment, even though she had just swatted away a disgusting house fly. "Okay, then let's go into this store." Qing Si carried the bag and hurriedly walked in. They both sat down and ordered a lot of food, but the air between them remained dull. After the waiter delivered 2 bowls of soy milk to their table, Qing Si finally sobered up from the atmosphere. She fiercely stared at Wei Xiaobei. "Xiaobei. You absolutely cannot tell the dojo about the matter before. Everything was fake, do you understand?" By the end of her sentence, Qing Si's voice had softened a bit. No matter what was said, Wei Xiaobei was older than Qing Si by a few years. He was able to understand Qing Si's thoughts just by looking at her and made a bitter smile. "Little senior apprentice sister, even if you didn't ask me, I would not dare." "Then all is good. Eat." At the exact same time, 2 bowls of soup dumplings were delivered to their tables, and Qing Si picked one up to eat. Her table manners were seen to be at least 3 times more fierce than Wei Xiaobei's. Wei Xiaobei naturally knew that her little senior apprentice sister was still a virgin. When she had done those things to get rid of the green-haired fly, she did not think much about it at that time. However, once the matter passed and she remembered them, she would naturally become embarrassed, and as a result, become a little more restless. Another thing was that Wei Xiaobei did not have any intentions towards her. After all, the master had treated him very well. If he had any ideas about her, then that would be quite a wild ambition. Although this wild ambition may not necessarily be a bad thing, Wei Xiaobei's energy was currently divided into 2, training in the dust world. He did not have the energy to do anything apart from this, let alone having a love affair. After they ate for a while, Wei Xiaobei suddenly thought of something and pretended to accidentally find a subject to talk about. Qing Si was not the sort of a bashful maiden. Once matters passed, she wouldn't think about them anymore. After talking a bit, Wei Xiaobei slowly moved the subject to matters about Chuihu University. What made him gratified was that his hard work was not wasted. Qing Si immediately entered into a talking mood. She jabbered on and described the 10 great mysteries of Chuihu University. Naturally, the so-called 10 great mysteries were about some female students committing suicide in some places and then becoming ghosts. Then at 10 o'clock night time, if you go to those places, you would see a bloodied female student, and so on. These supernatural rumors had probably been circulating there for more than 10 years already, so Wei Xiaobei did not care much about it. "Right, I also heard that during military training period, a few new students had disappeared. They had mysteriously vanished from their rooms. The strangest thing was that their rooms were locked. Their roommates had verified that before they had turned the lights off for the night, everyone was in the room. However, the morning of the next day, they discovered that their roommate had disappeared. Their bed still had traces that they had been slept in, but no one had found them until now. Thinking about it is kinda scary." Saying this, Qing Si's face let out a small trace of fear. Although Qing Si had trained since young, she was still a girl. If it were things like bugs and snakes, she was not scared of them. However, this kind of supernatural thing slightly shook her. This was a human's innate nature. They were afraid of things that they could not understand. Oh. Wei Xiaobei couldn't help frown as he made an inference. After asking a few more questions, he had a rough understanding of the situation. According to the time of events, the disappearance of the girls and Wei Xiaobei's adventure to the dust world the night before were not consistent. However, this was normal since people who had just disappeared would not have spread as much. After eating breakfast, Cheng Xi's time for military training was approaching. As a result, she did not talk with Wei Xiaobei anymore and hurriedly left. After Wei Xiaobei left the gates, the 5 men and their Mazda 6 had disappeared. Perhaps because they were also not good people, they did not report it to the police and just left. In the next few days, Wei Xiaobei concentrated on treating his injuries and did not rush to go into the dust world. He also talked with Cheng Xi twice on the phone during this time. She had obtained a bit more information about the matters inside the university. On the night that Wei Xiaobei entered the dust world, there was indeed a third-year girl named Li Shan who disappeared. The time she had gone missing and had appeared in the dust world had a close correlation. Moreover, the girl named Li Shan's disappearance was different from the few students before her. She was studying in the library on that night, and did not return back to the dormitory afterwards. The library computer still had information on the books she borrowed. Without a doubt, the girl named Li Shan was the female student that Wei Xiaobei met. This was the reason why Wei Xiaobei had paid attention to her. He did not have any regret or guilt, but rather, he wanted to find out how they entered the dust world. How come I can enter the dust world? Why do I have such an unimaginable thing as a status panel? Wei Xiaobei felt that he would not be able to sleep comfortably until these matters were cleared up. However, he knew that this matter was not such an easy thing to ask. Perhaps he would only understand it once he died in the dust world. Bang! 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 He stood at one corner of the outer practice ground and struck a tree continuously. The tree continuously shook and its leaves kept falling. He was carrying out recovery training. He calculated that his previous training was not fruitless, but its effect on the status panel was weak. After all, according to normal training, the strength and agility attributes would need at least half a month to increase by 0.01 point. Moreover, by increasing his attributes with the status panel, his training results became worse. This was also the reason why he given up on the weighted vest. However, even if that was so, he still carried out recovery training. He believed that there were benefits to his body in doing so. Moreover, it would allow him to grasp the limits of his strength, so that in the future, he would not go over the limits of what his body could handle. Naturally, his limited force made his fists slow down a bit. However, the security guards that were training around him watched on dumbfoundedly until he finished training. After, Wei Xiaobei greeted his big senior apprentice brother and left the dojo, hailing a cab and returned to his apartment. In reality, those security guards looked down on the Qing clan dojo. After all, they were the elites of a security firm, but they were still sent there to train. Most of the security guards were either trained in martial arts, retired army soldiers, former hoodlums, or even attained their own family's martial arts. From their point of view, the Qing clan dojo was only a place that fooled people. However, in these few days, they were convinced of his big senior apprentice brother's strength. Anyone who dared to challenge him were met with fierce retaliation. Moreover, Wei Xiaobei had brought them great fear. Wei Xiaobei was injured but still followed Captain Zheng to fight in an underground arena. Moreover, he defeated the one called Flying Demon in one hit. This kind of matter was hard to keep as a secret between them. As they saw Wei Xiaobei continuously knocking on the tree today, they considered things carefully. If they were the ones that were knocked against, what kind of result would occur? Shortly after considering it, these security guards went limp in their knees. If they tried to block in front of Wei Xiaobei, their bones would break and they would immediately spit out blood as they died in an instant. This was not a joke. Just by looking at the tree shake, they were able to tell that Wei Xiaobei was very strong. He was simply a bull. Wei Xiaobei naturally did not know that what he did had made the security guards much more sincere. After getting down the cab, Wei Xiaobei went to the Fat Mama store and bought 2 bottles of white wine. He also bought a few stewed dishes and returned. As he entered the apartment building, he heard the sound of a man and a woman arguing in the corridor. What is happening? Wei Xiaobei looked at the time. It was 3:07 in the afternoon. Other than the shut-in Zhou Li Jun, who else could be here at this time? After passing through half the corridor, he found that the sound came from Li Lan Xing and Huang Dejun's room. Huang Dejun, are you worthy of me? The door was not able to block out Li Lan Xing's sobbing voice at all. What do you mean worthy of you? I have been with you for such a long time, yet I can't even be intimate with you. I am a man, not a robot. Following Huang Dejun's loud roar and a loud slap in the face, the door opened. What came out was Huang Dejun with a handprint on his face that he raised his head and saw Wei Xiaobei. Xiaobei, you've returned. Perhaps he wanted to hide things, he forced a smile. Ah, yes. Wanna come drink at my place? Although he was not willing, he had no choice but to raise the food and wine in his hands and invite the other person after being called out. I still have matters to attend to at the company. Maybe next time. How could Huang Dejun go over to Wei Xiaobei's place to have a drink at this time? Moreover, they were not that close compared to how close Wei Xiaobei was with Li Lan Xing. After throwing down some words, he ran out of the building as if he was being chased by wild dogs. Wei Xiaobei sighed. When he turned around, Li Lan Xing appeared by the door. Sister Lan, are you okay? Wei Xiaobei was much more willing to comfort Li Lan Xing than Huang Dejun. No problem, Li Lan Xing's hair covered her tear-stained face as she spoke with a hoarse voice. She did not talk to Wei Xiaobei anymore, and went back in and closed the door. Her suppressed weeping voice echoing through the walls. What actually happened here? Wei Xiaobei entered his room and closed the door with a sigh. Wei Xiaobei more or less like Li Lan Xing. He even had a wet dream of her back in the dust world when he killed the fiendish man-fish. However, this did not mean that he was willing to break other people's relationships. This was his principle. From any angle you looked at it, he treated Li Lan Xing, who took care of him many times, as his big sister, so he wished to her happiness. Sigh, let's put that aside for now. Wei Xiaobei sat on his bed and temporarily forget about Li Lan Xing's matter. He opened the wine bottle and took a mouthful of it while eating the stewed dishes. So good. It's been so long since I've enjoyed this taste. If it was Wei Xiaobei before, he would not be willing to spend more than 100 yuan on buying the 250g stewed beef, stewed duck, and the 1 kilogram of walnut stewed meat. But now, he was different. With more than 10,000 yuan in his bank card, spending this much for the time being, was a small matter. After all, eating stewed dishes was better than just drinking down the wine. Wei Xiaobei devoured the food clean and drank down the wine to the last drop. With a bang, the wine bottle fell down the floor and Wei Xiaobei fell asleep. Boom! 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 The shaking ground of the loud sound had woken up Wei Xiaobei. What is happening? Wei Xiaobei hurriedly opened his eyes and looked around him. I have already entered the dust world. Boom! What's going on? Wei Xiaobei felt the ground shaking and heard the loud booming sound from his window. Not good. Whether it was the shaking or the loud sound, both were, without a doubt, approaching his direction. After discovering this, he did not dare stay inside the room. He extended his hands to take his backpack and slung it behind him. His feet did not stop moving at all as he kicked open the door and left the building. When he was at the courtyard, he looked at where the sound and the shaking was coming from. His eyes became dull, and his mouth was wide open. 2 big thick legs were coming towards the building. Moreover, he could only see 2 legs. Anything above the legs was hidden by the clouds. The length of the legs were more than 600 meters. Every step the thing took closed a distance of more than 400 meters. Just the powerful presence of the thing was enough to stop Wei Xiaobei from taking another step. Danger. Extreme danger. Whether it was the length of the legs, the shaking ground, or the imposing aura that came from it, all of them gave Wei Xiaobei a sense of danger that he had never felt before. I cannot stop here. Wei Xiaobei struggled for his life. It took him a while before he set himself free from the powerful presence and charged out of the courtyard, heading towards the food street. The food street was at a 90-degree angle from the trajectory of the huge legs. It was the only place he could safely escape to. Wei Xiaobei reached the food street, but suddenly stopped and cursed. The mist that had disappeared from the food street had once again appeared. Worse of all, those green dwarfs appeared from the mist and started charging towards him. In just a few seconds, more than 100 green dwarfs came out from the mist. His pitchfork had been scrapped on the laboratory building's rooftop. Dealing with the green dwarfs was much harder than before. However, Wei Xiaobei did not think much about it anymore at this point. He stomped on the ground and charged towards the green dwarfs. Iron Mountain Lean. Although he could slowly defeat the green dwarfs, the two legs from the distance were continuously closing in. Wei Xiaobei did not dare bet his luck, so he killed the green dwarfs, leaving a trail of blood. With his fastest speed, he quickly knocked against a green dwarf. The green dwarf could not even respond, and flew off like a golf ball from impact. In an instant, the green dwarfs behind it fell down like dominoes. As for the green dwarf that flew off, it had already died from its breastbone shattering. Wei Xiaobei's strength did not diminish after that. He opened his arms and grasped onto two green dwarfs that were running towards him. He spun like a windmill, turning the two green dwarfs into weapons and killing through the crowd. Wei Xiaobei massacred through the green dwarfs. Every green dwarf that was hit died as they were sent flying with their bones broken. When Wei Xiaobei finally left the encirclement, the only thing remaining from the two green dwarfs in his hands were two thighs. Exhale. Wei Xiaobei panted, the feeling of excitement welled up on his face. The green dwarfs seemed to not be blocking him at all. Even when he was already behind them, they did not look back at all. On the contrary, they ran away to a different part of the food street. What's going on? When he was still hesitating on whether to pass through the mist, he saw the mist condense into the mist draconic horse. The horse bellowed out and wildly charged at him. It's coming. Although Wei Xiaobei was able to judge that the mist draconic horse was not fully targeting him, dealing with something that could match the big tree spirit made him tense up to the point that he could not speak. Wei Xiaobei took big strides and charged towards one of the stores at the side. From his point of view, this was already the most he could do. If the mist draconic horse had a sudden change of mood, not wanting to eat tree bark and instead, human meat, Wei Xiaobei would probably just have to die inside the mist. The wind spilled inside the room and the mist pervaded it. However, in the next instant the mist disappeared. Wei Xiaobei carefully peeked his head out. The mist draconic horse had disappeared, but at the end of the food street, a field of green could be seen. The forest appeared again. While Wei Xiaobei was thinking, the ground suddenly shook. Soon after, the roots of the trees in the forest appeared one after the other. The smaller trees were the fastest. When their roots were out, they escaped to the distance. What does this mean? Seeing the tree spirits suddenly appear frightened, Wei Xiaobei did not hesitate. He finally understood what was going on in the next moment. Boom! Boom! The loud booming sound echoed. He could feel the ground beneath him shake like ocean tide. The shaking was so strong that he could not even stand still. He staggered, falling to the ground. He could not even stand nor sit as he laid horizontal to the ground. It only during this time that Wei Xiaobei thought about the benefits of the sub-attributes under agility. If his balance and other agility sub-attributes increased to above 13, he could have dealt with the shaking easier. He exerted all his effort to prop himself up and raise his head. When he looked, most of the tree spirits had already escaped to the distance. In their terrified state, these tree spirits pulled out their own roots and ran away quickly. What came to Wei Xiaobei's mind was a scene of turmoil and chaos. However, the big tree spirit was too huge. With its 100-meter tall height, let alone escape in such a small amount of time, it had not yet even pulled out most of its roots. The 30 to 40-meter tall tree spirits around it were also quite slow. After they had pulled out their roots, they started to slowly crawl away. However, what Wei Xiaobei saw next had shocked him to the core. Boom, boom. One of the huge legs suddenly descended from the skies, stepping towards the direction of the big tree spirit. It was the first time that Wei Xiaobei was able to clearly see what the huge legs actually looked like. It was not that different from a human's legs. However, it was big beyond reasonable limits. The hair on it was more than 10 meters long and was so thick and solid, each one looked like an electric pole. There were foreign matter of different sizes and shapes that fell down as the giant leg moved. However, Wei Xiaobei could not clearly see them from a distance. The big tree spirit that was under the shadow of the foot seemed to have finally understood that danger was about to descend. With loud boom, it quickly pulled out its roots and stabbed towards the skies like a forest of spears. The big tree spirit's roots were tenacious. Wei Xiaobei knew that the sharpness of the roots could even turn an armored car into a beehive. Slish! The speed of the leg's descent was extremely fast. Moreover, the speed at which the roots pierced up was not slow. In an instant, the two collided, creating a sharp ear-piercing sound, as if steel was hitting steel. However, the tree roots were still just tree roots. No matter how much force there was, it was not even on par with the huge leg. In a flash, the huge leg continued its descent. The roots that hit the huge foot were all crushed. However, the big tree spirit did not admit defeat. At the junction of life and death, it sent even more roots and avoided the sole of the foot. Instead, it targeted the weaker points of the foot, like the heel. However, the defense of the huge leg surpassed the big tree spirit's imagination. No matter how much its roots pierced the huge leg, it was only able to leave a few red marks on it. Seeing this scene, Wei Xiaobei opened his mouth. So strong. The huge leg above the big tree spirit seemed to be completely casted from an indestructible alloy. Zilagasa. The foot landed on top of the big tree spirit, causing the big tree spirit to suddenly let out a strange sound. Along with the echo of its voice, a green brilliance exuded out from the big tree spirit's trunk. In the next moment, it concentrated everything it had on the thickest root. Like a viper charging its power, it moved towards the exposed blue vein on the back of the foot, and fiercely pierced it. It was not that the big tree spirit had never targeted the vein before, but rather, the huge leg's defense was too high, so it simply could not pierce through it. However, it was different this time. The tree root that was carrying the green brilliance unexpectedly pierced through the vein. Soon after, a green-colored liquid sprinkled everywhere. But the big tree spirit's struggle was only until this point. In the next moment, the injured leg suddenly sped up its descent and in an instant, the big tree spirit was stomped. Boom! The foot was like an atomic bomb as it trampled the big tree spirit. Dust rose from the ground and a shock wave spread throughout the area. The strength of the shock wave had even turned over the last remaining few tree spirits. Even Wei Xiaobei, who was in the food street, was able to feel the force of the shockwave. A dust storm spread, almost suffocating Wei Xiaobei. However, the huge leg did not just stop there. Wei Xiaobei was able to faintly see the other leg pass another 300 to 400 meters and landed on a ruined building. With a loud boom, the building was stomped to the ground. The leg that stomped the big tree spirit raised itself again and finally disappeared in the distance. The wind slowly stopped, and the dust began to settle. Is it over? Wei Xiaobei stuck his ear on the ground to carefully listen for any shaking. Without a doubt, the huge legs were moving into the distance as the sound of the shaking became smaller. Wei Xiaobei paid attention to his status panel and looked at the battle log. He did not need to look at the battle log with the green dwarfs anymore. The most important point was what was after it. Battle log. Encounter with 3-star terror creature Mist Draconic Horse. Mist Draconic Horse withdrew from the battle. Battle end. Witnessed the fight between 4-star terror creature Citizen of Longbow and 3-star terror creature Big Tree Spirit. Receive aftermath effects from the battle. The most important showed by the battle log was the 4-star terror creature, Citizen of Longbow. 4-star terror creature. Citizen of Longbow. Wei Xiaobei's heart sped up as he recalled the 2 huge legs. Just 2 legs was already so big. Considering the whole body, its height probably would not be short of 1,000 meters. A 4-star terror creature is truly terrifying. While Wei Xiaobei was thinking of which myth the monster came from, he heard footsteps approach from behind, making noise in the background. When he turned around, he saw that the green dwarfs that had retreated, once again charged towards him. He did not want to fight with the green dwarfs yet. He retreated a few steps and guarded the door. If he stood there, there was no chance that the green dwarfs could surround him. However, Wei Xiaobei never imagined that when the green dwarfs saw him, their footsteps would slow down. However, after the sharp whistle of one of the green dwarfs, the other green dwarfs started to move faster. They ignored Wei Xiaobei and immediately moved towards the original place of the dead Big Tree Spirit. Aya. The movements of the green dwarfs had roused Wei Xiaobei. His intelligence was not low, so he was at the very least able to understand why these green dwarfs were so excited. I was too focused on the Citizen of Longbow that I forgot about the Big Tree Spirit that was killed by the Citizen of Longbow. Without a doubt, those green dwarfs were heading to the Big Tree Spirit. Wei Xiaobei knew that although the monsters of the dust world did not have a status panel, they could evolve by killing other creatures. Moreover, the effects of their evolution were better than his. However, the dead Big Tree Spirit was without a doubt a treasure trove in their eyes. Just the 0.1 increase in all attributes was enough to make people go crazy with excitement. Chase. After understanding this, Wei Xiaobei did not hesitate. He strode out the door and chased after the green dwarfs. Die. Blocking other people's livelihood was without a doubt the same as killing their parents. Although these words should be directed towards Wei Xiaobei by the green dwarfs, he did not even care about the green dwarfs' feelings at all. In his eyes, these bastards had already snatched away his previous loot, so they were absolutely irreconcilable enemies. With a loud roar, Wei Xiaobei charged towards the green dwarfs like a bull. In an instant, the green dwarfs were knocked flying. When they landed, they all vomited blood and were left close to their deathbeds. Although the green dwarfs were not slow, they were too short. Even if they wanted to run fast, they had their limits. From a human's point of view, they moved only a little bit faster than a jogging pace. Wei Xiaobei punched and kicked without paying attention to his form at all. As long as a green dwarf was in front of him, he would send it flying with either his kicks or his punches. When he had finally passed through the green dwarfs lost their previous excitement. They quickly dispersed to the sides, running away. I finally drove away those bastards. Wei Xiaobei's mind was focused on the Big Tree Spirit. He did not chase after the green dwarfs and continued to move forward. However, soon enough, Wei Xiaobei's eyes reddened. A huge footprint was left behind at the original location of the tree. Broken branches had spread on all sides like disordered trash. His speed was not slow, but he never could have imagined that around the giant footprint, there were already countless green dwarfs stooping down in search for something. These bastards are too fast. When he thought about it, the green dwarfs were just normal one-star creatures. They were at the bottom of all the creatures in the dust world. If they met any danger and escaped in only a single direction, then they would probably be cleansed off from the dust world. When Wei Xiaobei had reached the edge of the giant footprint, there were already green dwarfs excitedly shouting. It was holding on to something and was about to place it in its mouth. Die! Wei Xiaobei noticed that the tree root was still dripping sap. Without a care, he charged ahead. He quickly grabbed onto the tree root and punched the green dwarf's head. Bang! There was no chance that the green dwarf could handle the heavy punch. In an instant, its head sunk down from the break in its neck bone, and died. Up to this point, Wei Xiaobei did not care about how bad the root tasted. He immediately placed the root in his mouth and continuously chewed as he headed to another green dwarf that was cheering. Those green dwarfs were originally fighting over the tree root, but now that Wei Xiaobei entered the fray, everything became even more chaotic. The green dwarfs that had picked up the good stuff were not stupid. They would take the opportunity to sneak away when no one was paying attention, and continuously chew. After busying himself for a while, he had robbed over 10 tree roots. However, continuously chewing this many tree roots was enough to make his mouth go numb. During this time, Wei Xiaobei also looked at the pit that made the shape of a giant footprint. The big tree spirit had already been crushed to pieces by the huge foot. Large amounts of tree sap leaked out, turning the pit into a mess. In actual fact, Wei Xiaobei had the impulse to jump down. There was not only a large amount of tree sap, there were also big tree spirit branches that were in a good condition. These branches could also be used to make the handle of a great spear. There were also countless branches around the pit, but they were too short. However, Wei Xiaobei also tested the branches' durability and flexibility. They had far exceeded the one that he had been using in the dojo. Perhaps it was an even better material than the most superior spear handle out there. However, the pit that was created by the huge foot was at least 20 meters deep. Moreover, the walls of the pit were straight. Wei Xiaobei was worried that once he jumped in, let alone getting injured, climbing back up would be a difficult thing. Moreover, the monsters who smelled the sap were going to increase in numbers. It was too dangerous. He could easily imagine that once he jumped down, the probability of him surviving was less than 20%. If his chances of surviving was 50%, then he would just directly jump down. He would also jump down if the amount of tree sap could directly increase all his attributes to 20. However, the tree sap had mostly been soaked in by the soil. Even if Wei Xiaobei jumped down, the tree sap was not worth the effort. The gains and the risks were not equal. What is that? When Wei Xiaobei was hesitating to jump down, he had also still been quite cautious and alert. After all, his life was much more important than anything else. He saw that one of the green dwarfs was lying down on the ground and licking something. As soon as the green dwarf saw that Wei Xiaobei was coming over, it was startled. It did not even care about the thing it was licking and ran away. However, in just 10 steps, it fell to the ground and spasmed. This scene looks familiar. Wei Xiaobei's brain turned. He recalled the time when he was at the laboratory building. When he placed points into his sturdiness attribute, his body also spasmed and his muscles reconstructed. That scene was the same as what he was seeing with the green dwarf. Wei Xiaobei then looked at the thing that the green dwarf was licking. It was a small puddle of blood, and looked as if it had been half drunk by the green dwarf. At this moment, the green dwarf cried in pain. The muscles in its body continued to expand. In a short amount of time, the green dwarf's original knee-level height had increased. Its body size also increased as its muscle swelled. If the previous green dwarf was a 3 to 4-year-old child, then the current one was a 7 to 8-year-old child. The green dwarf's body that had swelled was filled with bulging muscles. When it opened its eyes, it charged at Wei Xiaobei. Its former weak expression was replaced with an extreme ferocity. Lower the shoulder, drop the elbow, stamp the feet, inhale deeply. Wei Xiaobei reacted in an instant. His entire body lowered, and his right hand formed a fist. He then sent his fist flying with great strength. Even if the green dwarf had grown stronger, its brain did not become smarter. Seeing Wei Xiaobei's fist coming, it had not even dodged, only relying on its sturdy body to resist it. In a flash, Wei Xiaobei's fist made contact with its chest. Its body flew back, while it spat out blood. The green dwarf easily died. Wei Xiaobei looked at his battle log. He knew that the green dwarf had become a 1-star elite creature, elite green dwarf. After it died, it gave Wei Xiaobei a total of 50 evolution points. From this, it was easy to understand that the puddle of blood was not something simple. Seeing that there was not much blood left, Wei Xiaobei hesitated. He had eaten many kinds of things when he was in the army's survival training: earthworms, snakes, sparrows, bugs and many others. However, when he thought about drinking the blood that had been licked by the smelly green dwarf, he had a psychological barrier. Wei Xiaobei hesitated for a bit. He looked around and saw that the green dwarfs were staying away from him, probably due to fear of death. Soon Wei Xiaobei did not hesitate anymore and lied on the ground to lick. Lick. The taste was not that good. Let alone the fishy smell of blood. When Wei Xiaobei had stuck his tongue on the puddle, his tongue felt hot, as if it was under a flame. This should be the blood of the citizen of Long Bo. Wei Xiaobei already had a slight feelings, and it was confirmed by the flickering blood of the citizen of Long Bo in his status panel's items on hand section. The only thing that was there before was the fight between the big tree spirit and the citizen of Long Bo. The big tree spirit's blood was the tree sap that could increase all of his status with a bitter taste. Other than the big tree spirit, there was the citizen of Long Bo that had been injured by the tree roots. While enduring the burning feeling, Wei Xiaobei licked up the remaining blood, but some of it was still soaked up by the soil. Seeing that the blood had been licked as clean as it could, Wei Xiaobei swallowed all of it down. Rumble. This sound was not something that came from afar, but it was Wei Xiaobei's stomach after swallowing the blood. He felt as if his body had turned into an erupting volcano, as if his mind blew up. However, the bad feeling did not last long. After a few seconds, he finally came back to his sense. Seeing his muscles slightly swell, he was skeptical. The effects of the blood ended? He shook his head and did not waste time thinking about it. He directly looked at his status panel. None of his attributes had increased. The only attribute that increased was his sturdiness, which increased from 12.47 to 13.07. It increased by 0.6 points. What a strong effect. It needed to be known that a drop of the big tree spirit's tree sap would increase all of his attributes by 0.01 points, or an equivalent to 19 evolution points. On the other hand, the blood had increased his sturdiness by 0.6 points, making its effect was better than the tree sap. Wei Xiaobei exercised his arms and legs. He was able to feel that his body was somewhat capable of handling his power now. What good stuff! Wei Xiaobei's eyes sparkled and began searching. Naturally, even if he could find such a thing, there would not be much left. After all, he only had 2 eyes, but there were more than 100 green dwarfs out there. In the following time, Wei Xiaobei found more blood puddles, but they had already all been used by the green dwarfs. Moreover, Wei Xiaobei was only noticed it as the green dwarfs started to evolve. However, Wei Xiaobei felt that it was still not that bad. Killing an elite green dwarf was still able to merit him 50 evolution points. However, when calculated carefully, it was still a loss. If Wei Xiaobei was able to drink all of the blood, his sturdiness would increase by more than 2 points, which was much more than 50 evolution points. The amount of Longbow citizens' blood was too few at that place. A huge amount had probably been sent flying away by the shock wave from its stomp. After killing more than 10 green dwarfs and robbing them of the blood of the citizen of Longbow, Wei Xiaobei's sturdiness increased by 1.8 points. He was also glad that killing those green dwarfs had given him a total of more than 200 points. Most of the green dwarfs had been in their evolved form due to drinking the blood. In the next moment, Wei Xiaobei could only rob the green dwarfs of the big tree spirit's tree roots. While he was observing the green dwarfs around him, Wei Xiaobei saw one of the green dwarfs dragging something away. Wei Xiaobei had been focusing on the green dwarfs that would suddenly become happy, so he had slightly neglected the green dwarfs that displayed different actions. The green dwarf's movements were slow and not too obvious. If it was not because the thing it was dragging was long and black, Wei Xiaobei would have probably missed it. Seeing Wei Xiaobei charge over, the green dwarf hesitated for a bit. In the end, it left the thing behind and ran away. Wei Xiaobei did not chase after it and looked at the thing. It was a black rod-like thing with a length of 4 meters. It was about as thick as an arm and carried a certain gloss. Wei Xiaobei felt that it was slightly familiar, but he still did not know what it is. At this moment, he unconsciously saw the fog from the food street coming over. His heart skipped a beat. The mist draconic horse is coming back. Wei Xiaobei knew that when the big tree spirit died, the mist draconic horse would definitely come back. At this point, he did not hesitate anymore. He extended his hand on the black rod and charged towards Chuehu University. Neigh! A high horse sound echoed. The mist became a running white horse, and it was headed his way. In an instant, most of the green dwarfs threw down what they were holding and ran away on their short legs. The mist draconic horse was extremely fast. As it ran, it left a trail of mist behind it. It looked like a jet-propelled fighter plane, sweeping across the skies. The green dwarfs that the mist draconic horse passed by became wet from the mist. The mist acted like aqua regia, a mixture of nitric and hydrochloric acid. When it touched the skin corroded, causing the green dwarfs to roll on the ground in pain. However, this kind of struggle was futile. In just a few breaths' time, the green dwarf's entire body had corroded, to the point that only their bones were left. However, Wei Xiaobei did not have time to observe the miserable green dwarfs. He could only run for his life. Even if his muscles became strained afterwards, he did not care. Before Wei Xiaobei ran to a safe distance, the mist draconic horse passed through from his left side and then disappeared into the pit created by the huge foot. Wei Xiaobei did not bother looking back to see what the mist draconic horse was doing. However, when the mist draconic horse passed by, the mist followed too. Even when Wei Xiaobei dodged with his all, his left arm had still been moistened a bit. Ah! Wei Xiaobei could only feel the unbearable pain from his arm. The mist seemed to be alive as it dug deeper into his arm. At the same time, the place where the mist touched, corroded, exposing his red muscles to the air. He knew how terrifying the mist was. Even the 3-star terror creature, Big Tree Spirit, had been corroded by the mist. Without any hesitation, Wei Xiaobei rolled on the ground to evade the mist. At the same time, he rubbed his left arm on the ground, attempting to rub off the mist. Although the mist had decreased a bit after rubbing a few times, the mist that had seeped into his flesh was not that easily deterred. Wei Xiaobei had no choice but to pull out the knife on his waist and decisively peel off his flesh. The knife was extremely sharp. In just one move, the affected parts and the rotting parts of his arm were all peeled off. The only problem was that the knife had also been moistened by the mist. Even if it was a knife that had been corroded by the thunderworm, its refined material was still easily corroded by the mist's power. However, Wei Xiaobei was unable to change anything now. He placed the knife inside his backpack and made a mad rush towards Chuehu University. Only when he hid behind the walls did he let out a sigh of relief. The mist draconic horse was too terrifying. Although the citizen of Longbow was much more terrifying, it would probably not waste any energy to try and find him with its large body. The mist draconic horse was different. If it just passed by, it was already enough to cause a lot of problems. White mist rising up from the pit of the giant footprint could be seen even from where he was. Wei Xiaobei couldn't help but shiver. He dispelled any thoughts remaining of wanting to go back to check it out. He would rather check his own bounty. He also took notice that the flesh he had peeled off his arm was gradually staunching. He immediately looked at the black rod-like thing that he had acquired with great difficulty. What is this anyways? When he tried feeling it, a name appeared in the items on hand section of the status panel. It was leg hair of the citizen of Long Bow. No wonder Wei Xiaobei felt like he had seen it before. Compared to the countless 10-meter long hair on the thick, electric pull-like leg, it was a lot shorter. It's very flexible and very durable. Wei Xiaobei picked up the leg hair and moved it like a great spear. He couldn't help but be filled with happiness. The leg hair of the citizen of Long Bow was much better than any broken branch from the big tree spirit. Wei Xiaobei held the arm-thick leg hair at one end and found that it was just the right length and size. The expression, "You plant a garden and the flowers do not bloom, you poke a stick in the mud and it grows into a tree," truly matched his current situation. The only problematic thing was that the pointed end of the leg hair was too soft, so he could not use it as a spearhead, and it was also too long. As a result, he needed to find an actual spearhead and find a way to decrease its length. After thinking for a while, he began making his move. He found a sharp rock from behind the school gate and chose the best position to cut the leg hair. Wei Xiaobei planned to cut off a part of the leg hair, but after 20 minutes of attempting to do so, he gave up. The leg hair was too tough. The sharp rock was not even able to leave a single mark on it. Next, Wei Xiaobei thought of burning off part of the leg hair, so he went to get decomposing wood and started a fire. However, his plan had backfired. After being burned under 300 to 400 degree flame, the leg hair did not burn off. Instead, its luster increased further. This had most likely increased the hair's value, but he could only give up on using it now. He was temporarily unable to change it into a great spear, but even using it as a rod was also not too bad. Wei Xiaobei suddenly thought of the knife that he had. If it was the sharpness of the knife, Wei Xiaobei had never seen a knife that sharp before. Could I use it to cut off the leg hair? Wei Xiaobei retrieved that knife in his backpack. The mist on it had already disappeared, with there had been no harm done to the things inside his backpack. However, evidence of corrosion left on the knife was not few. He used the rock to grind it a bit and the corroded parts fell off. The knife suddenly became incomparably reflective to the point that he could see his own face on it. This knife seemed to have changed. Wei Xiaobei then noticed that a change happened on his status panel. Item on hand, white mist knife, sharp, slightly corrosive property, citizen of Long Bow's leg hair, tough, flexible. It was the first time Wei Xiaobei had seen this kind of description. Without a doubt, the knife in his hands was the white mist knife on the description. Sharp. Slightly corrosive property. Tough. Flexible. Wei Xiaobei thought for a bit and picked up a branch. He used the knife to peel it. The knife had instantly shaved it into a smooth plane. Moreover, black marks were left behind on it. The black mark was carbon powder. In just one cut, a layer of the branch had started corroding. The strength of the corrosion was not that small at all. Soon, Wei Xiaobei used the white mist knife to cut the leg hair of the citizen of Long Bow. The results did not go beyond his expectations. The white mist knife was indeed able to leave a mark on the leg hair, but cutting it off would take a long amount of time. Moreover, cutting it off would not enough. He also needed to polish the cut-off point, which would take a lot more time. Wei Xiaobei decided that for the moment, he had to put away this matter. He placed back the white mist dagger on his waist and walked towards the laboratory building while dragging the leg hair. He did not need to worry about the friction on the leg hair. If the friction was enough to destroy it, Wei Xiaobei would not have need to take so much time to think of a way to cut it. The places Wei Xiaobei passed by were still dusty. The ruined buildings, roads, flower gardens and other places had all accumulated a thick amount of dust. Creak. Crunch. Before he even reached the building, he could already hear the footsteps of the zombies. Without a doubt, this was the sound of the zombies' footsteps. As a result of muscle deterioration, the movements of the zombies were slow. They could not even raise their feet by more than 15 centimeters, so their footsteps were also very different from a normal person's, creating the sound of friction between their foot and the floor. Wei Xiaobei did not have a decent weapon on hand, so he did not dare simply strut towards them. Being surrounded by the zombies, or being ambushed by lickers was something that Wei Xiaobei was not willing to encounter. A group of zombies were wandering around behind the laboratory building. Their numbers were 10 times more than the amount that he had seen before he left. From his visual estimate, the group of zombies were at least 500. This group of zombies crowded themselves in a small area, making it seem incredibly jam-packed. It was to the point that the zombies were knocking on each other and falling to the ground, taking them a long time before being able to get back up. Wei Xiaobei walked around the perimeter. It was lucky that he did not find any women, men or lickers around. After slightly eliminating his worry, he returned to the entrance of the laboratory building while dragging the leg hair. The sound created from dragging the leg hair was not loud, but it was enough to catch the attention of a few zombies. Seeing the zombies slowly move towards him, Wei Xiaobei let out a mischievous laughter and swung the 4-meter-long leg hair. Puff. Pop, puff. The leg hair was very flexible. As he brandished it, he felt that it was similar to a lengthened chime stick. With just one swing, 5 of the zombies at the very front row fell to the ground. Whoosh! Wei Xiaobei swung the rod again, and the zombies fell down again. The scene was like a sickle cutting through wheat. After swinging the leg hair a few more times, Wei Xiaobei felt invigorated. The gloominess from encountering the citizen of Long Bow and the Mist Draconic Horse had decreased by around 80%. Azure Dragon Tail Swing, Triple Strike, Winding Spear. Wei Xiaobei unleashed a series of spear techniques. The more Wei Xiaobei killed, the better he felt. Other than being a bit glossy, the leg hair was really too suitable of an equipment for him. The only thing that was needed was a spear head, so he had no way of killing the zombies. In his excitement, after sending a few more zombies to the ground, he grabbed both ends of the leg hair and used all of his strength to bend it into a U-shape. He then moved towards two zombies and loosened his right hand. Whoosh! The extremely bent leg hair suddenly rebounded and lashed towards the group of the zombies. The unexpected thing was that it had whipped the zombies in half. The amount of zombies that Wei Xiaobei sent to the ground was not small. There already were about 100 of them, but even if the zombies did not have legs or hands, they would still start crawling towards Wei Xiaobei. The leg hair was simply unable to kill them. Seeing that more zombies were moving towards him, Wei Xiaobei let out a light sigh. He pulled out the white mist knife and attacked the zombies one by one. He would stab them with his white mist knife, strongly cut through their skulls, preventing them from staying alive. However, this had taken too much time. Before he knew it, Wei Xiaobei was almost surrounded by the zombies, but was only able to kill 27 of them. He couldn't help but retreat. With a light sigh, he looked at the zombies that had their arms and legs broken, crawl on the ground. His eyes showed regret. After all, those were 700 to 800 evolution points. Soon, Wei Xiaobei turned around and left while dragging the leg hair. In reality, Wei Xiaobei could not escape. At this moment, his mind was slowly becoming more and more muddled. After calculating the time, he had been inside the dust world for more than 4 hours. It was almost time for him to leave the dust world. Thinking this, Wei Xiaobei increased his running speed. When he arrived at the school gate, he probed the surroundings, and his heart darkened. The mist that was previously occupying the footprint had already returned back to blocking the route. Wei Xiaobei did not dare wager his life to check if the Mist Draconic horse was asleep. If the Mist Draconic horse was asleep, moving ahead was safe, but if it was awake, going over there was suicide. Since it was like this, Wei Xiaobei could only take a detour. This detour, however, made him suffer a bit. Although he did not run into any monsters, dragging the 4-meter-long leg hair to climb walls and pass through ruined houses was truly harsh. This was especially hard as his dizziness was increasing. With great difficulty, he finally returned to his apartment and let out a sigh. However, before he even reached the bedside, he could not endure the dizziness anymore. His vision filled with darkness and he fell on the floor. Time passed by bit by bit. Wei Xiaobei let out a groan as he woke up from losing consciousness. Looking at the snow-white ceilings, he knew he had returned to reality. Wei Xiaobei propped up his heavy body and bounced up from the ground. Ouch! When Wei Xiaobei stood up, he felt his back ache, so he massaged his back with his hands. It was true that Wei Xiaobei's health had reached 20 points, but having a backache after sleeping on the cold hard floor for a long time was not a strange thing. The leg hair of the citizen of Longbow was also on the floor. Wei Xiaobei did not pay any more attention to it. He picked up the water pitcher and poured himself a glass of water. When taking a sip, he felt that it had a strange taste. After thinking about it though, he realized he had not boiled water for a few days now. Boiled water that tasted strange after being left out in the open was not weird. The fact that it was not growing green algae was already good enough. After taking another drink, he relieved the dryness in his throat. Wei Xiaobei lied down on the bed and closed his eyes again while placing his attention on the status panel. His visit to the dust world this time did not lack danger and thrill at all. Just seeing the citizen of Longbow was enough to scare him half dead. It was, after all, a monster that could not be opposed. As for the Mist Draconic horse, Wei Xiaobei felt that its threat was even slightly greater. As for rewards, it was not just a small amount. Other than the leg hair of the citizen of Longbow and the white mist knife, he had also gained an increase in attributes from eating the tree roots and drinking the citizen of Longbow's blood. Moreover, he had also gained a lot of evolution points. His evolution points had increased to 592 points. Something is wrong. Wei Xiaobei looked at his status panel and noticed that something was wrong with his muscle attribute's growth. After reverse calculating it, his muscle attribute had only increased by half the amount compared to the other attributes after eating the tree roots. Could it be that after increasing the attribute to 20, it would need twice the evolution points to level up? Wei Xiaobei looked at his muscle attribute carefully. He used 2 evolution points, and his muscle attribute increased by 0.01 points. So it was like this. Wei Xiaobei was right. When an attribute reached 20 points, the necessary amount of evolutions points to increase it would double. This also meant that the effect of items that could increase his attributes would be halved. It was good that he had noticed this, since he would have probably placed all of his evolution points into sturdiness, trying to make it reach 20 points. However, after noticing this, his choice became a little more prudent. Although increasing an attribute to 20 points would give him a special ability, encountering treasures that could directly increase his attributes like the blood of the citizen of Longbow, would then become a waste. Moreover, his current sturdiness was enough for him. If he increased it further and it triggered a change to his body, it would attract other people's attention. Wei Xiaobei did not want his master and apprentice brothers to notice anything. After deeply thinking, he looked at the hand-eye coordination attribute. Wei Xiaobei's evolution points quickly decreased and his hand-eye coordination increased. 9.44, 9.45, 9.46, 9.47. Wei Xiaobei felt something warm flow into his eyes. It was slightly painful, but he knew that these were the effects of putting in his evolution points. As such, his attention did not go anywhere. When his hand-eye coordination reached 12 points, only 334 evolution points remained. Wei Xiaobei stopped putting in evolution points, opened his eyes and stood up. He looked around his room, then suddenly, he extended his right hand and pinched. A housefly that had just landed on his bedside was quickly grasped between Wei Xiaobei's fingers. The poor housefly was then squeezed to death. However, Wei Xiaobei couldn't help become happy knowing that placing his points into hand-eye coordination had brought him this kind of benefit. When he was in the army, he liked to hide behind the shelter and read light novels with a flashlight. As a result, he became a bit short-sighted with a bit of astigmatism. If he were to give an estimate, he would say that it was at least have a grade of 200. However, he was still able to see things, so he did not get a pair. However, as soon as his hand-eye coordination reached 12 points, his myopia disappeared. His vision had even become sharper than before. Even when the lighting inside the room was not good, he was still able to clearly identify the hairs on the housefly. Moreover, his eye movement, hand movement, and the cooperation between them became extremely precise. If it hadn't, he would not have been able to simply catch the housefly. The takeoff speed of the housefly was fast. As soon as he had extended his hand, the housefly took off. If he had not clearly seen the direction of where the housefly had taken off, catching the housefly would have only been a dream. After this experience, Wei Xiaobei now clearly understood that every sub-attribute truly had their benefits. Next, Wei Xiaobei increased his flexibility, reflex, and balance, raising them all up to 12 points, costing him a total of 304 evolution points and leaving him with 30 evolution points. He did not bother using the final 30 points as it would not have created any huge changes, deciding to save them instead. Because these sub-attributes increased to 12 points, his agility also increased to 12 points. Name, Wei Xiaobei. Race, human. Gender, male. Age, 21. Creature rank, 1 star. Status, the average adult male's status value is 10. Strength, 17.5, muscle, 20.05, elementary power burst, sturdiness, 14.95. Agility, 12, hand-eye coordination, 12, flexibility, 12, reflex, 12, balance, 12. Vitality, 17.21, health, 20.35, elementary regeneration, endurance, 14.06. Intelligence, 9.58, learning, 9.08, reasoning, 10.08. Awareness, 9.64, willpower, 12.39, judgment, 8.39, perception, 7.39, intuition, 10.39. Charm, 7.83, courage, 10.39, persuasiveness, 7.39, character, 7.99, leadership, 5.39, appearance, 7.99. Skills, shooting, intermediate, military boxing, intermediate, electrical work, beginner, Bajiquan, master, fishing, beginner, 3 Emperor Cannon Fist, beginner. Special skill, release electricity, maximum strength 37 volts. Maximum current 10 mA. This skill formed after Wei Xiaobei ate the Thunderworm electric ball. Maintaining a constant output for a long period could allow this skill to level up. Using this while exercising would stimulate strength and slowly increase agility. Evolution points, 30. Item on hand, white mist knife, sharp, slightly corrosive property, citizen of long bow's leg hair, tough, flexible. Wei Xiaobei moved his arms and legs to feel the changes in his body. He now had a better grasp on his own strength, but it was a pity he was not able to test it out because he was inside the room. He removed his tattered clothes and threw them on the bed, changing into a sleeveless shirt and a pair of shorts before he left. It was already 8 o'clock in the evening. When he left the room, he noticed that all the doors along the corridor were closed. The sounds from the thin walls of the rooms could all be heard. There were sounds of fake fighting from TV shows, people playing games, and even sounds of flirting. Wei Xiaobei laughed as he walked to the courtyard. If at that moment, he was a 10-year-old, he would have probably knocked on all their doors to prank them, but now that stage was only a fleeting memory. In reality, when he approached the gate, he had an impulse to just jump over the wall. Since he had increased his agility attribute, he was confident that it would have been easy. However, it was already too late at night. If he truly did this, people who saw him in the streets would think he was a thief. After leaving the courtyard, Wei Xiaobei ran east. As it was already 8 o'clock in the evening, the amount of cars passing by the apartment street had decreased. On the other hand, the amount of people doing night runs had increased thanks to Chuihu City becoming a major city. As a result, no one would look at Wei Xiaobei and think there was anything strange. A turn at the end of the apartment street lied a residential district. The living conditions at this place was a lot better than the living conditions in the apartment street. This was also the place where people who had achieved a small amount of success in their lives made their homes. Further ahead was a farmer's market and Chui Lawn Park. Inside the dust world, the residential district, farmer's market, and Chui Lawn Park did not exist. At the very least, Wei Xiaobei had not yet seen any signs of them existing. Chui Lawn Park was a public park. Since it was free to enter, there were naturally no Ferris wheels, rocket bungees, or anything in that category. The only thing this place provided was a place to train, clean air, and greenery all around. Wei Xiaobei had been here on a walk in the past, so he was quite familiar with the place. 8 o'clock in the evening was also the golden time when most of the nearby residents would come out to exercise. Entering the place and going forward, you could already see the old and young. Some of them were playing chess, some were jogging, some were even training martial arts, sword arts, and other practices. After going a full round of the park, Wei Xiaobei came to a stop near the rock garden, where there were fewer people. Wei Xiaobei took a huge stride and charged towards one of the rocks. When he was reached to about 5 to 6 meters away, he suddenly increased his speed and leapt on the rock. After taking 3 steps, he somersaulted to another rock 3 meters away. Rocks, trees, fences, benches, anywhere he could find, Wei Xiaobei did somersaults. After a series of these, many people close by had started gathering around. This young man should be part of the Beijing opera, right? It's as good as watching the Long Taos. A gray-haired old man stared wide-eyed and exclaimed with praise. Hearing the old man's praise, a senior high school student was not as pleased. Gramps, you're out. This is not some Long Tao of Beijing opera. This is parkour. It is the most popular and coolest exercise method. If I could do that, how great would it be? Hearing the senior high schooler's voice, young people who had never seen parkour before took out their phones and began taking pictures of Wei Xiaobei's movements, some even taking videos. In short, from their point of view, coming to the park tonight was worth it. Just a picture alone would be more than enough to increase their followers on Weibo. Nowadays, anyone could be a newscaster. As long as they found something appealing, interesting, or fun, anyone could become famous and popular. As for parkour, Wei Xiaobei had only previously glanced at it, never truly learning anything about parkour beforehand. Parkour was originally an extreme sport that made everyday environments a sports field. People would rely just on their physical capabilities and quick speed to perform various feats. This sport did not only train the body, it also trained a person's flexibility and reaction time, which was needed in order to minimize the risks. According to some studies, people who learned parkour would have 20 times the survival rate of a normal person during fires, earthquakes, attacks, car accidents, etc. In reality, Wei Xiaobei's current movements were not that different from parkour. The only thing different was that he had not tied it to parkour at all. Naturally, Wei Xiaobei was currently using the monkey style of Bajiquan. He borrowed the monkey style's nimbleness, speed, movements, strikes, reaction and other intents. After moving around the park a few times, Wei Xiaobei felt that the people around him was still increasing. How could he still continue? In a flash, he leapt up to the trees using the branches as footholds, and quickly disappeared from everyone's view. When he disappeared, the people watching regretfully left, but they did not cause any disturbance. Wei Xiaobei returned to his apartment. He took a bath to clean off the sweat and laid down on his bed to think. In his run or so-called parkour, he had fully used his all. It was truly different from his previous self. The speed that had decreased due to increasing his muscle and sturdiness, had increased further. If it was the previous Wei Xiaobei who wanted to run around the park and perform somersaults, he would have quickly become a laughingstock. Whether it was his flexibility, reaction time, balance, or eye strength, everything had increased. If Wei Xiaobei was previously a brown bear, he was now an orangutan that could climb up trees. When he was doing parkour in the park before, Wei Xiaobei had also made a few mistakes. Luckily, he was able to use his strength to make up for it, adjusting his position when needed. However, if he wanted to take another step to grasp his strength, he needed to increase the sub-attributes under agility to at least 15 points. This was not a small number. Wei Xiaobei sighed. He got up the bed, thinking that now was not yet the time for sleep. Moreover, he had just slept. Even if he wanted to sleep again, he was not sleepy at all. He picked up the leg hair on the ground, opened the room door, and walked out. It was late at night, so even if the neighbors saw what he was holding, it would only create a small problem. Wei Xiaobei was worried that the glossy leg hair that shone under the light would be seen by everyone. However, leaving it in the room was not good either. After thinking about it, he pressed the thicker end of the leg hair on his waist and used his strength to bend the leg hair around his waist. The 4-meter-long leg hair was enough to wrap around his waist a few times, leaving the soft end which was used to tie a knot. At first glance, people would only think that Wei Xiaobei had a big belly, or a hula hoop. He returned back inside the apartment and changed the black sleeveless shirt for a jacket, making his best attempt to hide it. It was already autumn and cold air was continuously blowing into the city. As a result, wearing a jacket would not be strange. After leaving the gate, Wei Xiaobei patted his belly and smiled with satisfaction. Luckily, the leg hair was very flexible, else, it would not have been as convenient to bring it with him. When he reached the road, he hailed a cab with an excited expression. Once his great spear is finished, bringing it around would also be convenient. Wei Xiaobei got down once he reached the dojo. The doors were closed, but he did not want to disturb his master and senior apprentice brothers with a phone call. He retreated 10 steps and then used all his leg strength to stride forward. When he reached the wall, he stepped on it with his left foot and jumped up. His form was like a monkey jumping up, and once he was over the wall, he lightly supported himself and landed like a bird. Who? What he never imagined was that when he had not yet even landed, a familiar voice sounded. Soon a shadow charged over. Third senior apprentice brother, it's me. Following Wei Xiaobei's voice, the shadow stopped. The fist that he was brandishing had almost hit Wei Xiaobei's nose. Why didn't you call? His third senior apprentice brother, Yao Wu, withdrew his fists. He threw away his usual reserved state while fixing his eyes on Wei Xiaobei's fattened appearance. I was afraid of disturbing your sleep. When Wei Xiaobei answered, 2 more shadows leapt out from the central hall. Yao Wu's question and alertness had startled the master and the big senior apprentice brother who were playing chess. As a result, they both came. Seeing Wei Xiaobei return, Chen Baiwu nodded his head. There are still leftovers in the kitchen. If you are hungry you can heat it up. After saying this, Chen Baiwu turned around and prepared to continue his match with Lu Jiancheng. He never imagined that Wei Xiaobei had brought him a pleasant surprise. Master, do you know anyone who would be able to make a great spear? Wei Xiaobei pulled his master and apprentice brothers into the indoor practice ground and awkwardly asked. In reality, Wei Xiaobei did not want to expose the leg hair of the citizen of Longbo, but other than his master and apprentice brothers, he did not know who to ask for help. "Oh, I do know someone, but a newly made spear might not suit you right now. I have a few great spears back home. I'll bring a few back when I return there." Cheng Bai-Wu thought that Wei Xiaobei wanted to custom make a spear, so he smiled. Wei Xiaobei did not say anything and removed his clothes. The leg hair tied around his waist had attracted Cheng Bai-Wu's attention. "This is..." Without waiting for Cheng Bai-Wu to finish speaking, Wei Xiaobei turned around and gently pulled on the tip of the leg hair. Following after, the binding unraveled, letting out a sound while shooting outwards. Because of the force, it hit against the weapon rack, knocking all the weapons to the ground. Landing on the ground, the hair bounced on the rubber mat a few times before stopping. In reality, the scene had almost made Cheng Bai-Wu dumbfounded, even thinking that it was an extremely elastic rubber stick. However, he knew that Wei Xiaobei was not the kind of person that loved to play tricks. He moved towards the leg hair and picked it up with his hands. As he felt it with his hands, he immediately knew that it was not a rubber stick. It was glossy to the touch and extremely elastic. When he used both hands to smash down on it, he found that it was very tough. Cheng Bai-Wu's eyes couldn't help but shine. He turned his head and asked, "Is this the material that you prepared for making the spear?" Wei Xiaobei nodded his head and replied, "I picked it up outside." He never expected that his master's next words almost made him puke blood. "Can you pick up another?" "Only this one," Wei Xiaobei replied bitterly. Master seems to have taken fancy to this leg hair. When he thought about it, any martial practitioner would love to have a good weapon. Even his master was the same. Cheng Bai-Wu stared at Wei Xiaobei's eyes. He did not ask any more. In any case, Wei Xiaobei had been very mysterious for these last few periods of time, so he did not bother asking any further on this matter. If this was made into a spear, it would without a doubt be better than a spear made from Chinese ash. Cheng Bai-Wu shook the leg hair a few times before carrying it back into the central hall. Wei Xiaobei and the others naturally followed after him. The back of the central hall was the place where everyone lived. Further inside was a tiny storehouse. Cheng Bai-Wu let Lu Jianqing open the storehouse. Then he opened the lights, and they walked in a single file. It was the first time Wei Xiaobei entered this storehouse, so he was curious about it. There were a lot of things inside the storehouse, such as broken equipment, prototype weapons, deformed weapons, wooden sticks, flags, and whatnot. It was also easy to see that even Yao Wu, his senior apprentice brother, had only been in there a few times. When Wei Xiaobei thought about it, it wasn't strange. The only reason needed to come in the storehouse would be when equipment breaks. Cheng Bai-Wu threw the leg hair on a wooden desk and took out a tape measure to measure the leg hair. Then he made Wei Xiaobei widen his stance to measure Wei Xiaobei's height, arm, thigh, and many other body parts. Afterwards, Cheng Bai-Wu stared at the ceiling as if thinking about something. Nobody dared to disturb him, so they also followed suit and stood in a daze. Soon, Cheng Bai-Wu seemed to have finished calculating something and used a writing brush dipped in yellow ink to draw a draft of the spear head. He also made a few marks on the leg hair. This should be correct. Cheng Bai-Wu nodded his head as he looked at the leg hair. He then placed the leg hair in front of a cutting machine, planning to cut the marked parts. As a safety measure, he let Wei Xiaobei hold down one end, while his left hand held another end. His right hand then operated the cutting machine and pressed the rotating wheel down the leg hair. Yao Wu was sent to make tea, while Lu Jianqing was sent to make the spearhead using the milling machine. Wei Xiaobei wanted to use the white mist knife as the spearhead, but its corrosive property was too conspicuous. Moreover, when he saw Cheng Bai-Wu draft the spearhead, the length was more than 30 centimeters. The white mist knife was shorter, so it did not match. As a result, Wei Xiaobei did not say anything anymore. Woo woo woo. The grinding wheel slowly pressed on the leg hair and immediately let out sloshing sounds. The cutting machine was almost thrown off by the leg hair, so Wei Xiaobei used his awl to hold it down. After letting the machine cut for a while, Cheng Baiwu stopped the machine and took a look at the situation. Wei Xiaobei also took a look. After cutting for half an hour, only a white mark was left on the leg hair. Cheng Baiwu couldn't help scratch his head in puzzlement. Isn't this thing too sturdy? Seeing his master's puzzlement, Wei Xiaobei could only smile. In truth, he was much more surprised. Although the cutting machine was not a dedicated model used in factories, cutting steel reinforced bars and iron plates was but a trivial matter for it. At the very least, it would only use up one grinding wheel. However, the leg hair of the citizen of Longbow was too startling. After being grinded for half an hour, only a white mark was left. Cheng Baiwu moved his hand on the white mark and rubbed it a bit. He let out a sigh. Luckily, the white mark was rough. This meant that the cutting machine had some effect on it. Master? Seeing that Cheng Baiwu did not move for a while, Wei Xiaobei called out. Nothing. Let us continue. Woo woo woo. Slish, slish. A strange sound once again broke the silence of the night, attracting the neighbors' protest. Yao Wu brought in a few cups of tea and closed the door. Although the storehouse was not able to completely block out the sound, it was enough to stop the protest that would otherwise occur. Clang! After cutting for minutes, a brittle sound was made. The grinding wheel that had already started reddening burst. A large fragment had shot out and stuck itself to the wall. Master, how about changing a method? Wei Xiaobei was startled by the event. No need, Cheng Baiwu was not a person who gave up easily. He changed the grinding wheel and the humming resumed. Clang! The new grinding wheel broke after using it for a while. Cheng Baiwu rubbed the white mark again. After breaking 2 grinding wheels, the white mark had become a little deeper. However, if this continued on, even breaking the 5 remaining grinding wheels would not finish the job. Cheng Baiwu thought for a moment before taking out 2 steel containers. On the milky white container, it was written, acetylene. On the yellow container, industry-use oxygen was written. After putting on a double-end nozzle and opening the valves, Cheng Baiwu used a lighter, and with a whoosh, a pure white flame came out from the end of the nozzle. Cheng Baiwu adjusted the size of the flame and then placed the flame on the leg hair. Wei Xiaobei couldn't help becoming tongue-tied speechless. This was an oxyacetylene flame with a temperature of 3000 degrees Celsius. He was slightly worried that the leg hair might just ignite and burn to nothing. However, the next thing that occurred had made him notice how magical the leg hair truly was. The pure white 3000 degrees Celsius oxyacetylene flame licked the leg hair. However, the leg hair did not burn up at all. It only reddened quickly as if it was a metal rod placed on a stove. The only thing was that if it was a real metal rod it would have already softened at this point. Yao Wu, come to the cutting table, Cheng Baiwu instructed. Then Cheng Baiwu used the oxyacetylene flame to heat up the leg hair, while Yao Wu operated the cutting machine and pressed down on the grinding wheel. The result of this had been a lot better than solely just using the cutting machine. After repeating this 30 times, the leg hair was finally cut off. The leg was slightly too glossy, so Cheng Baiwu took a steel file to file the leg hair while it was still red. This was done to increase friction, allowing it to be easier to wield. However, this was not the end. His big senior apprentice brother had also finally finished the spearhead. It was a simple shape without any motifs or design. You could only see a rhombus on all 4 sides with a concave shape which, when using it on the enemy, would cause a cross-shaped wound that would surely be difficult to heal. The inside of the spearhead was a screw to make it easier to fasten it to the pole. As a result, they needed to drill a screw shape into the leg hair in order to fasten the spearhead. Compared to cutting the spearhead, this was a finer task. Currently, the spearhead was still reddened, so it was quickly placed on a screw machine. This was also not a task that could be accomplished in one go. After trying for more than 100 times, a screw shape was made. Cheng Bai Wu took the spear head and a bit or red yarn and covered the screw with it. Afterwards, the spear head was rotated into the spear pole. From just one look, it seemed that the finished product turned out to be a pretty good spear. Wei Xiaobei couldn't help being ecstatic, but as he was about to take it, his master suddenly carried the spear and went out the door. Wei Xiaobei and the others also hurriedly chased after him. After seeing a good spear, let alone Cheng Bai Wu, even Lu Jiancheng and Yao Wu would want to play with it. Whoosh! 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 When they reached the outer practice ground, they borrowed the light of the moon and danced with the spear. It was the first time Wei Xiaobei saw his master use the spear like this. He couldn't help but stop and take a look at the spear techniques. There was no other choice but to admire it. Although, compared to Wei Xiaobei, his master's strength and vitality were below his master's spear techniques and fighting techniques were a lot better than his. Cheng Bai Wu did the routine for the 6 harmonies great spear twice before stopping. Next, his master passed it on to his big senior apprentice brother to try. Then his big senior apprentice brother passed it on to his 3rd senior apprentice brother to try. When Wei Xiaobei had finally impatiently took hold of it, it was already 1:30 in the wee hours of morning. Sleep earlier. No one would steal your spear. His master regretfully looked at the spear in Wei Xiaobei's hands and sighed as he returned to his room. Seeing his master leave, and his apprentice brothers also following him back inside, Wei Xiaobei was still unwilling to return without doing anything, so he tried a few moves. When he returned to the room, he was reluctant to let go of the spear even when he needed to take a bath. He felt that the spear was easy to use. It made him feel as if it was an extension of his hand. After taking a bath, he lied down on the bed while the great spear was erected on his bedside. He looked at his status panel while holding the spear to see if there were any changes. Items on hand: white mist knife, sharp, slightly corrosive property, long bow leg hair great spear, tough, flexible, can cause bleeding. The leg hair of the citizen of Longbow had turned into long bow leg hair great spear. There was even the property of causing bleeding. Wei Xiaobei was able to guess that this was caused by the unique shape of the spearhead. However, the name long bow leg hair great spear was a disgusting sounding name. If the words leg hair were removed, it would have been better. However, he was lucky that his big senior apprentice brother's spearhead could still be brought into the dust world. When he thought about it now, he felt that he is just overthinking it. When the spearhead and the leg hair turned into a great spear, changes had appeared. Wei Xiaobei was able to understand why this happened thanks to his higher than average intelligence. In simpler terms, if a person ate their fill before entering the dust world, then saying that they were not able to bring that food would be a joke. This meant that if an object in reality was influenced by a product of the dust world, then it would be possible to bring them in. Wei Xiaobei committed this point to memory. He planned to try it the next time he entered the dust world. In the early morning, Wei Xiaobei woke up early and carried the long bow leg hair great spear to the outer practice field. After training his spear techniques, his master and the others appeared one after the other. Wei Xiaobei greeted his master and apprentice brother before relaxing. His master and apprentice brothers still looked normal for the day. However, not soon after, his master asked, "Xiaobei, do you still need the excess material after creating the spear?" When Wei Xiaobei heard this, he knew that his master was still hung up about the leg hair and generously spoke, "Master, I don't need it anymore." "Good. There is still about 130 centimeters left. If I mix it with stainless steel, it should be possible to make another great spear. Xiaobei, you should train a bit more. Jiancheng, Yao Wu, let's go to the storehouse." After saying this, his master hurriedly went to the storehouse. Looking at his master and senior apprentice brothers going to the storehouse, Wei Xiaobei lost the mood to continue training. As a disciple, he knew that he should help his master when his master was undertaking a task. When he entered the storehouse, everyone became busy. They carried the gas containers, operated the cutting machine, created the spear head. They were busy until it was lunchtime, and a hot great spear was freshly taken out of the furnace. The spear head was no different from the long bow leg hair great spears. Moreover, the leg hair was cut into 3 parts and fastened together by stainless steel to act as the pole. When he tried using it, the feeling from the great spear was too different from the long bow leg hair great spear. However, it was much better than the spears inside the dojo. The other thing was that when Wei Xiaobei held the spear and looked at his status panel, no new information appeared. He was slightly suspicious. There was no doubt that the status panel did not acknowledge the spear, so it could not be brought into the dust world. What could be the reason for this? Even Wei Xiaobei's improved intelligence could not deduce the reason. Could it be that the proportion of leg hair was too low? Or is it a random probability? No matter what was said, Cheng Baiwu was very happy. From his viewpoint, the number treasures of the Cheng clan dojo had increased. If the great spear was not compared to the long bow leg hair great spear, then it was without a doubt a precious spear among all the spears there. Leg hair. Leg hair. Leg hair. 2 days had passed. In these 2 days, Wei Xiaobei had encountered leg hair in his dreams on both days. There were ones that were thousands of feet long along with short ones. There were even ones that had grown faces. Wei Xiaobei felt that leg hair almost became his greatest nightmare. Luckily, he had been training his spear techniques these few days with his master. Cheng Baiwu was already 45 years old. He had been training for 38 years and was now at the peak of his life. His martial arts skills were also approaching the peak. Wei Xiaobei remembered one time when Cheng Baiwu got drunk. He had proudly said that when he was 26 years old, he had understood negative Jing. Everyone who knew Guoshu were aware that a person's energy was divided into parts. They were roughly known as positive Jing, negative Jing, and neutral Jing. In rough terms, this was how a person used their body's energy. In more accurate words, this was a category of qi usage. Positive Jing was a person's strength, which was expressed through their fists and kicks. This was the foundation of a martial artist, using their own energy to attack, and making the amount of force they used to be the same as the force applied. As a result, positive Jing was also called the energy at the tip of the branch, which means the energy that was released. However, a normal person could use 30% of their body's potential. If they punched with their fists, they could exert 40% of their arm strength, while kicking would exert 50% of their leg strength. On the other hand, those who have trained their bodies before, like soldiers and amateur boxers, could use at most 50% of their body's potential. They were individuals who were able to exert energy on multiple parts of their bodies at the same time, such as using both forces of the waist and legs simultaneously. Another step further would be those who could use 80% of their bodies. They were people who could combine 3 different energies on various parts of their bodies at the same time, such as combining the forces of the waist, legs, and fists simultaneously. With such a combination, their fists would be able to make whistling sounds in the air. The highest realm of positive Jing would be a person who could use their body's full potential. They would not only combine the forces of their legs, waist, and fists but also use special techniques such as Iron Mountain Lean, which utilized the neck and the lower legs. After positive Jing was negative Jing. In terms of Guoshu, negative Jing was also called lowered elbow fighting. What did this mean? In general, it meant that a person must hide the positive Jing in the middle section of their body, such as the arms and thighs. In this way, a person would be able to attack and defend during fights. It was different from positive Jing, which only focused on attacking and not defending. As a result, negative Jing was also called the energy at the middle section of the branch. However, negative Jing did not increase a person's strength. A person's strength still relied on their positive Jing. If a master of negative Jing fought with a master of positive Jing, it would without a doubt look like a Taiji expert fighting a muscle-headed brute. Finally, there was neutral Jing. Neutral Jing was called the energy at the root of the branch. It could bring out a person's energy from the root section to the middle section and from the middle section to the tip. In order to master neutral Jing, a person must store energy all over the body. It could also be counted as an advanced version of negative Jing. A person who trained in neutral Jing could store energy anywhere in their body and could release the energy at any time. By being able to store and release energy at one's will, birds should not even think of leaving if they landed on the individual's body. The energy released by the person's body would be able to counteract the force of a bird's upward movement. When a person reached this level, even if the opponent hit them, they would be able to easily release energy to counter the incoming punch. This entirety was called the Great Way of martial arts. In truth, when a person reached the level of neutral Jing, they would be able to feel the similarities in different martial arts such as Taiji and Bajikwan. An example of a martial art that utilizes neutral Jing is Zhang Yi 18 drops. As a result, this kind of martial arts was only a type of martial arts and could not be considered a realm of martial arts. From this, it was easy to tell how bad it was to fight against a master of negative Jing. Wei Xiaobei was not able to see the realm his own master was in, but by training with him, he was able to feel a certain level of oppression that prevented him from exerting energy outward. Every time Wei Xiaobei thrusted his spear, Cheng Baiwu was able to easily ward off the attack and made a counterattack, forcing Wei Xiaobei into a tragic state. Even the parts of the body where Wei Xiaobei focused his energy on was easily seen through by his master. Wei Xiaobei was not an idiot. He knew that this was not only because his master was happy in obtaining the treasure but also because he wanted to train him. Wei Xiaobei's strength that was formed by his muscles and sturdiness gave him a total of 17.5 points. This meant that he was already very strong. If the possibility of muscle strain was ignored and Wei Xiaobei used his full strength to the limit, the power in his fists would far surpass the power of the world heavyweight champion. However, he was only able to use positive Jing. After training for a round, Wei Xiaobei boldly asked his master this question. Cheng Baiwu spoke without any trace of politeness. "Xiaobei, your understanding towards Bajikwan has far surpassed your third brother. Your second brother is also close to being unable to catch up. However, you are only at the middle level of positive Jing. This makes you quite far apart from your big brother." This was the reality. Wei Xiaobei also slightly understood this about himself. He was indeed at the level of mastery in Bajikwan, but in reality, the way he used energy was substandard. However, sparring with his master in these few days had allowed him to understand ways to use energy more effectively. He wouldn't be able to immediately reach a high level in positive Jing, but he was able to understand things that he did not understand before. Apart from this, Wei Xiaobei had also searched through the internet and found out what the citizen of Longbow that he encountered in the dust world actually was. There were adult citizens of Longbow whose heights reached 300 meters. The adults of their race were giants. The classic of Mountain and Sea had also mentioned them. In ancient times, there was a country called the country of Longbow. Every single citizen of the country was an incredibly tall giant. They could walk very far in just a few steps, and their breaths created clouds. Their heads were above the clouds, and the northern seas were their bathtubs. One day, a citizen of that country went to the sea to fish, but that person carelessly fished out a giant turtle that supported the 5 mountains of immortals. As a result, 2 of those mountains sunk, leaving countless immortals homeless. The Celestial Emperor was furious after this event and shrunk the amount of land in their country. This had caused the giants to shrink. However, during the era of the legendary Chinese emperor and the farmer god, these giants were taller than 300 meters. From this, it was easy to tell that a citizen of Longbow was a giant. After looking at this information, Wei Xiaobei was shocked. It seems that the dust world truly had a relation with myths and legends. After this, Wei Xiaobei searched the web every day for an hour before going to sleep. He used this time to familiarize himself with various myths and legends of China. These works included the classic of Mountain and Sea, Lai Zi, In Search of the Supernatural, Huai Nan Zi, and other Chinese literary works. Every one of them was read by Wei Xiaobei once. Time continued to pass. After 1 week, Wei Xiaobei's master had calmed down from the excitement of obtaining a treasure. Wei Xiaobei had also gained enough free time to return back to his apartment. This time, he entered the dust world with a completely different mindset from before. After waking up, he was just as cautious, but when he touched the great spear bound to his waist, he gained a lot of confidence. With the great spear, Wei Xiaobei's battle power had risen by more than 50%. Wei Xiaobei did not plan to go back to the food street, afraid that the mist draconic horse was still there. Moreover, the east of Chuihu was a dangerous area. While standing in the middle of the road, Wei Xiaobei thought for a bit and returned back to the courtyard of the apartment building. This was not him planning to go back to sleep. He made a detour around the building. When he was at the back, he charged towards the wall and jumped over it by stamping his left foot on the wall. In an instant, Wei Xiaobei soared to the sky. He held on to the top of the wall and pushed his body to the other side. Without a loud bang, he landed on the other side. He bitterly smiled, his body size was still a bit heavy. Even with his 12-point in agility, it was quite hard to control the sound from his landing. Whether it was reality or in the dust world, this was the first time he was walking in this direction. Behind his apartment building was also another apartment building. In reality, most of the buildings around him were all apartment buildings, so their structures were not that different. Normally, Wei Xiaobei would never come to this place to look around. He walked around in the apartment building, originally planned to go to the rooftop and scan the surroundings. He never imagined, however, that he was able to find a pleasant surprise in one of the rooms. In that room, there were 3 perfectly preserved boxes of hardtack and 12 bottles of water. Wei Xiaobei, at the moment, was not that worried about his food situation. As long as he did not release electricity, he would not be hungry in the dust world, but water was essential. After moving around a lot, Wei Xiaobei used up a lot of liquid in his body. A person once said, humans can live for 7 days without food, but only 3 days without water. Moreover, Wei Xiaobei also discovered that every time he entered the dust world, the amount of time he could stay inside slowly increased. For this reason, Wei Xiaobei wasted a bit of time to move the hardtacks and bottles of water back towards his own apartment building. He also placed 2 strips of hardtack and 3 bottles of water into his backpack before setting off again. From his previous visit, the street on the other side of the wall was very quiet. When he left the courtyard and walked around 20 meters, he discovered a small alley and walked in. Arriving at the other end of the alley, Wei Xiaobei raised his eyes and took a look. All the time, he didn't expect to discover an extremely strange place. Near the exit of the alley, it was still ash gray, but looking a little further was a withered and totally split farmland. Around 30 meters from that, the farmland gradually became a desert. Countless sand dunes had turned the entire place into a bright yellow world. In the desert, further into the distance, a fiery red mountain range could faintly be seen. What is this? Lake Chui and Chuihu University inside the dust world was in a completely different location compared to reality. However, there was no such desert inside the entire Chuihu city. If it was a desert, the only place in China where there would be one was in the northwestern part. Moreover, having a bright yellow desert inside the ash-gray dust world gave him a certain sense of terror. When he thought about it, Wei Xiaobei slowly walked towards the cracked farmland. He then stood at the edge of the desert, directly facing the heat waves head-on. The heat brought with it an air of dryness that made Wei Xiaobei's face burn up. Ever since he was little till now, he had always been in the southwestern part of China. This kind of dry weather was something he had never experienced before. It really is a desert. Wei Xiaobei was slightly excited. He bent his waist and grabbed the yellow sand and let it slowly flow down his hands, creating a tiny waterfall. After playing with it a few times, he couldn't help but smile. I am actually enjoying this children game. Could it be that I'm that childish? After shaking his head, he slowly walked towards the desert. Every time his foot landed on the sand, his foot slightly sunk. This made it a lot harder for him to exert energy. Wei Xiaobei was prepared to go and take a look at the fiery red mountain range. A place like that was definitely not a simple place. It should be something like Lake Chui. After climbing over a sand dune that was around 8 meters tall, he stood still at the top. He used his feet to rub the sand until his soles were partially buried to steady himself. In his field of view, there was a small valley in between the sand dune he was standing on and another sand dune in front of him. In the valley, grains of sand suddenly rose up and moved like an earth dragon, moving in his direction. Although the speed was not fast and at most 3 meters per second, Wei Xiaobei was able to sense the incoming danger. A faint strange smell pervaded the air. He knew that whatever it was that was coming for him, it was not a good thing. Because he was not able to see the monster hiding under the sand, the battle-log had not yet listed any monster. Wei Xiaobei did not evade. He remained concentrated on the moving protrusion while making his legs firm as Mount Tai. From another person's point of view, Wei Xiaobei looked relaxed, but the muscles under his clothes were already tensed up like a leopard hiding in the grass ready to attack. It's here. 20 meters. 19 meters. 18 meters. 5 meters. Kill. The protrusion suddenly exploded, sending grains of sand flying in the air. A black figure came out and pounced towards him. It was a giant black scorpion. Its body's length exceeded a meter and its tail was already shooting towards Wei Xiaobei's chest. The tip of its tail was a stinger that glowed with a blue light. The faint strange smell became thicker by 100 times. Courting death. At this moment, Wei Xiaobei actually relaxed his mind. He pulled up his shirt and slapped his waist. In an instant, the long bow-leg hair great spear that was coiled around his waist sprung up and shot out like a viper. As the spear returned to its original shape, it quickly sent the spearhead knocking towards the body of the giant scorpion, directly sending the pouncing giant scorpion flying away. Die! Wei Xiaobei grabbed the spear in his right hand and leaped towards the scorpion. The great spear easily pierced through the air. The spearhead became a white line that instantly chased after the dazed giant scorpion. The spearhead that was 30 centimeters long had instantly pierced through the giant scorpion before it had even landed on the ground. Wei Xiaobei did not show any mercy at all. He was quite familiar with how to deal with insects. Wei Xiaobei lightly pulled the great spear back and then thrust it again. Without even a single breath's time, 3 open holes had been left on the scorpion's body. Deep blue liquid flowed out from the holes, and when the scorpion landed on the sand, the deep blue liquid immediately splattered out and mixed with it. Whoosh! Wei Xiaobei was not done. He took this chance to thoroughly kill the scorpion. He once again thrust the great spear, making the spearhead strike against the middle part of its tail, and hit it 3 times. Gotcha! The scorpion's tail was not able to endure this great amount of damage, and their sound of its shell cracking, tail was cut off by the great spear soon after. The giant scorpion that had its tail cut shuddered on the ground, thoroughly losing all will to attack. No matter how much vitality the scorpion had, it was not able to endure having the spear pass through it countless times. After a while, the scorpion died, giving Wei Xiaobei 50 evolution points. Battle log. Encountered 1-star elite creature, giant black scorpion. Killed giant black scorpion. Battle ends. Giant black scorpion. Luckily, when Wei Xiaobei searched the web on Chinese myths, he also took a look at foreign myths. When he tried to recall it, he was able to remember something about these giant black scorpions. In ancient Egypt, there was a scorpion goddess named Serket. In ancient Egyptian mythology, the position of the goddess was quite high. Many pharaohs had viewed her as a guardian goddess. Scorpion stings lead to paralysis, and Serket's name had meant, she who tightens the throat. However, Serket's name could also be read as meaning, she who causes the throat to breathe, and so, as well as being seen as stinging the unrighteous, Serket was seen as one who could cure scorpion stings and the effects of other venoms such as snakebites. Moreover, the scorpions that this scorpion goddess commands had black exoskeletons and huge bodies. Furthermore, the desert in front of him felt similar to pictures of Egypt he had seen before. When he thought about this, he couldn't help let out a bitter smile, not knowing whether his guess was correct or not. If this place was truly Egypt, then the topography of the dust world was more difficult to predict than he thought. The only thing was that Wei Xiaobei did not remember anything about Egypt having a fiery red mountain range. No matter what was said, anything could happen in this mysterious dust world. After defeating the giant black scorpion, Wei Xiaobei became even more careful in his journey. Even his footsteps became lighter. After all, he knew that a scorpion did not rely on its eyes to find prey but their sense of smell. Moreover, it was also able to sense the vibrations in the sand caused by its prey's movement. Other than that, it also relied on sound, relying on the sensory hairs on their legs. Rustle, rustle, rustle. No matter how much Wei Xiaobei lightened his footsteps, he was unable to stop the influence of his huge body size, which caused more vibrations. In reality, even if Wei Xiaobei was as lithe as a swallow, moving even a little bit of sand was enough to cause sound and vibrations. In the end, he was eventually discovered by a hidden scorpion. After passing a few sand dunes, Wei Xiaobei chose to move in between the sand dunes. That way he would not waste as much stamina. Rustle, rustle, rustle. The more Wei Xiaobei walked, the more he encountered scorpions. When he just passed a sand dune, 3 protrusions appeared on the side of the sand dune and moved towards him. Compared to the scorpion he encountered before, the 3 protrusions were much faster. From his visual estimate they were moving at 6 meters per second. This kind of speed was roughly around elementary students running a 100-meter dash. He took the great spear off his shoulder and dragged it towards the sand dune on the right. Perhaps sensing that Wei Xiaobei wanted to escape, the 3 protrusions increased their speed. However, after moving in between the dunes, and moving towards the top again, their speeds could not help slow down, reducing their speed to about 3 meters per second. In reality, Wei Xiaobei felt a sense of intellectual superiority after seeing the 3 protrusions chase after him without giving up. No matter how strong the scorpions were, they were still insects. If they had come out from the sand and chased after him, their speeds would have been many times faster. However, their innate nature forced them to hide their bodies in order to ambush the enemy. As a result, they could only hide in the sand in dejection. When Wei Xiaobei reached the top of the sand dune, he ran to the other side with a slower speed. Processing this, the 3 protrusions also followed suit and followed behind in a diagonal line. After chasing and stopping, the 3 protrusions were now following Wei Xiaobei in a straight line. Each one of them were separated by quite a distance. This should be enough. Kill. At this point, Wei Xiaobei smiled. His movements quickened once more, breaking into a stride. He combined the force in his leg, waist, and arm to leap up. Sudden thrust. The 3-meter-long great spear was like a black line as it instantly pierced towards the protrusion 5 meters behind him. Following the thrust, the protrusion immediately sprayed out black liquid. Raise. Wei Xiaobei raised the great spear upwards. Dig. With a whoosh, sand spread all over the place. When the spear head shot out, it brought with it the giant black scorpion, sending it flying out the sand. Break. Wei Xiaobei shook his hands, creating vibrations with the pole. The giant black scorpion that was pierced by the great spear had its back break open. Its body was also split in half as it flew through the air. Although there was still movement in its legs as it struggled, with half of its body gone, the giant black scorpion was toast. Wei Xiaobei became happy seeing this scene. He felt that his martial skill had once again improved. If it was the previous Wei Xiaobei who did the break, he could at most send the scorpion flying away from the spearhead. He would never have been able to split it in half if it were the past him. If he was at the middle layer of positive Jing before, he was now at the upper middle layer. He was not able to release all of his body's energy, but he was able to release at least 80%. The most happiest thing was that his spear techniques had grown again. Wei Xiaobei took this time to look at his status panel. There were changes just as he expected. Although his Bajiquan remained at mastery level, the color had become darker. Here it comes. The other two scorpions had also reached the top of the sand dune. They were not slow at all. After Wei Xiaobei killed the first scorpion, the two scorpions also pounced out the sand. One was on the left and the other on the right, flanking Wei Xiaobei. Facing the flank of the two scorpions, Wei Xiaobei was not as relaxed as he was when dealing with the previous one. In close quarters, Wei Xiaobei would originally not be afraid to fight against 6 scorpions head-on. However, if he was stung once by their stingers, he would bet that he would fall in an instant. Wei Xiaobei had encountered a scorpion before and experienced it. Let alone a desert scorpion, just a normal scorpion was already bad enough. If a person was stung, the pain it would cause was unbearable, and a glistening lump would form on the skin in an instant. Desert scorpions on the other hand could kill people with their stingers. As for these giant black scorpions, Wei Xiaobei did not dare use his own body as an experiment. Even without thinking, that kind of action was akin to suicide. Even a big African elephant would die in just one sting from a viper. As a result, he did not recklessly fight against them. The great spear in his hand moved to block the incoming scorpions. In this exchange, a normal person would have probably become dizzy from being swung away by the great spear. However, the giant black scorpions were different from a normal person. When one of the scorpions were flung back and its face planted into the sand, and there was no effect at all. It turned around and once again began their charge. The other scorpion landed on its back and carelessly had its tail buried in the sand, so it was currently struggling to get free. This is fine, I guess. The reason why Wei Xiaobei blocked them back was to create a time difference between the two. Defending against 2 scorpions at the same time was very difficult. This was the difference between these insects' intelligence and a human's. If a human encountered a strong enemy, they would find comrades to work together with and fight together. Even if the scorpion charged over from within the sand, their speed was still not fast, but their stingers were very fast. When approaching an enemy, they were able to instantly inject their poison as soon as the stinger hit the body. Wei Xiaobei operated his great spear like a dragon. In an instant, the great spear entered the approaching scorpion's mouth. By slightly bending the pole, the great spear entered even deeper, making a strange sound come from the scorpion. Half of the spear had burrowed itself within the scorpion, releasing black liquid to flow out from its mouth. Most creatures would have already died in an instant if they had been through by the mouth. However, the giant black scorpion was different. Even if the spear had been half buried through their bodies, and even through their tails, they would still remain fierce. The more than 70 centimeters long tail moved like lightning as it tried to sting Wei Xiaobei. However, Wei Xiaobei did not hesitate. The great spear was 3 meters long. If the scorpion wanted to sting Wei Xiaobei, it needed to have its tail extend by at least 2 times before it would able to reach him. At this time, the other scorpion finally got out. It moved on the sand and charged towards Wei Xiaobei. Its erected tail slowly swayed, preparing to deal a fatal injury on him. Wei Xiaobei smiled, exerted force into his hands and shouted. Bending the spear, he sent the scorpion on the spear through the air, resulting in its entire body smashing against the other scorpion. Bang! A heavy sound echoed. The scorpion was smashed to the point that it was half buried in the sand and its erect tail was no more, being instantly snapped off. The giant black scorpion had a high vitality, and it was on full display at this time. Whether it was the scorpion on the great spear or the half-buried scorpion, their carapaces were both shattered, and their body fluids were splattered everywhere. If it was a different animal, they would have already stopped breathing, but the giant black scorpions were still struggling. Naturally, Wei Xiaobei did not give them the chance to continue living. He waved his great spear again and smashed downwards. Bang! 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 After 3 hits, the giant black scorpions had been smashed into meat paste. After they died, Wei Xiaobei obtained 100 evolution points. Who? Wei Xiaobei gently exhaled. Wei Xiaobei did not look down on these 3 scorpions at all. Although a scorpion only gave 50 evolution points, their stingers were a lot stronger compared to the fishmen guards. Moreover, the temperature of the sand was about 40 degrees, sucking up his stamina. Wei Xiaobei rested on one side of the sand dune. He drank 2 mouthfuls of water before raising his spear and continued walking. On his way to the mountains, he continuously encountered these scorpions. There were solo ones in pairs, and even in threes like before. However, insects were still insects in the end. Their intelligence was even inferior to normal fishmen. Every single scorpion Wei Xiaobei encountered had employed the same ambush tactic against him. Wei Xiaobei, very quickly, had gained enough experience fighting these scorpions, and as a result, he was able to deal with them easily. Puchi! Wei Xiaobei leapt in the air. His great spear pointed towards a giant black scorpion. In an instant, the sharp spearhead stabbed towards the scorpion's back shell. Then with a shake, the great spear shook the shell into pieces. Even its internal organs were shaken into a meat sauce. Although he was no longer in the blazing sun, a dusky light cutting through the air had replaced. However, the temperature here was still close to extreme heat, making Wei Xiaobei, who fought battle after battle, drenched with sweat. Wei Xiaobei wiped his forehead, and then pierced the spear head that was covered in blood and flesh into the sand a few times to rub it clean. The fiery red mountain range that seemed to be 5 to 6 kilometers away now looked a lot larger and closer. Wei Xiaobei looked at his status panel. His evolution points had increased by 400, making him very happy. After familiarizing himself on how to fight against these scorpions, the scorpions were only free evolution points to Wei Xiaobei. Wei Xiaobei's evolution points had altogether reached 630 points. 600 of the points solely came from just killing the giant black scorpions. After thinking for a while, Wei Xiaobei temporarily gave up on allocating the points. By looking at his status panel, it was easy to tell that his agility was on the low side, making his movements a bit clumsy. However, he felt that at the moment, it was still good enough. If he was truly thinking about allocating the points, he was strongly leaning towards putting them all into Bajiquan. Wei Xiaobei had a slight premonition. He felt that his Bajiquan was about to reach a bottleneck, and placing evolution points during that time would be a much more economical use of it. This was not his imaginations running wild, but something that Wei Xiaobei had guessed a long time ago. It was just that, in the past, it was hard to confirm his guess, but now, fighting and killing giant black scorpions in this desert had improved his martial arts by a lot. This was also the only time he got to verify his guess. As a result, Wei Xiaobei did not panic. He prepared to wait until he reached a bottleneck before placing in his evolution points. Save me! Save me! When Wei Xiaobei had just about to set foot on top of a sand dune, he heard a terrified scream. This is a man's voice. Wei Xiaobei was slightly suspicious. His gaze looked towards the direction of the sound. I don't see any shadow. It should be blocked by the sand dune. With a stride, he charged towards the direction of the voice. After passing two sand dunes, Wei Xiaobei saw a man wearing a shirt carrying something while running for his life on a sand dune. There was a protrusion chasing after him. If the giant black scorpions did not like submerging in the sand to chase after their prey, their speed would be a lot faster, and the man would have already been a corpse by now. After all, the man's speed was a bit slow and was perhaps using the last bits of his stamina. It would perhaps take a few more minutes before the man was caught by the giant black scorpion and torn to pieces. Should I save him or not? This thought only floated in his mind for half a second before it disappeared. He was still not that cold-blooded to do something like that, so after he thought about it, he raised the great spear and shouted, "Come this way." The man was running for his life. When he heard the voice, he couldn't help but stare blankly. However, the protrusion that was still moving towards him had brought him back to reality. He did not dare hesitate, especially since his life was in danger. He exerted his last bit of strength to boost his speed one last time. "Get out of the way." Wei Xiaobei charged with a few strides and raised his great spear. The man was not an idiot. Upon seeing Wei Xiaobei, he gritted his teeth and moved to the left side. During the moment he moved, the giant black scorpion charged out of the sand, the glowing blue tail suddenly erected and pierced towards the man as fast as lightning. Seeing that the man was about to be stung by the stinger, Wei Xiaobei shouted and sent the great spear flying like an arrow. In an instant, the giant black scorpion was pierced through its head, nailing it to the sand. However, Wei Xiaobei knew that this kind of injury would not kill it at all. As a result, when his foot landed on the sand, he leapt up again and grabbed the tip of the great spear's pole. The scorpion also did not waste time and retracted its tail to thrust it out again. Wei Xiaobei, however, was not afraid at all. He took advantage of the moment in the air and did a somersault to dodge the incoming tail. With the use of his muscles, he landed behind the scorpion and raised the great spear, smashing the scorpion on the sand. From his understanding of the giant black scorpion, his move should have smashed the innards of the scorpion to pieces, killing it instantly. After killing the scorpion, Wei Xiaobei finally looked at the man that was previously running for his life. However, when he saw the man's familiar appearance, he was slightly startled. How could it be him? The man was about 30 years old. He wore a dirted white shirt and even lost one of his shoes. His face was filled with dust and his expression was filled with anxiety. It was honestly a very tragic sight. However, Wei Xiaobei actually recognized this person. "Brother Huang, why are you here?" Wei Xiaobei hesitated a bit and finally opened his mouth. The man was Huang Dejun. He was the boyfriend of Li Lanxing, Wei Xiaobei's neighbor. He was a white-collar worker, working as a leader. How could he be in the dust world? This was the first time Wei Xiaobei met an acquaintance in the dust world. Although his situation looked bad. You are Wei Xiaobei." Seeing the tall man who saved him from the monster, Huang Dejun became dazed and asked with hesitation. This was not because of his memory suddenly turning bad. Wei Xiaobei's height had increased, and his character and appearance had also reached 7.99 points. This number meant that he could already be considered as a handsome man. With the changes in his height and appearance, as well as Huang Dejun not being in contact with Wei Xiaobei for a long time, Huang Dejun only felt that he looked familiar, but it was hard to recognize that it was actually Wei Xiaobei. Naturally, what made him unable to believe this was because Wei Xiaobei carried a great spear and killed the terrifying monster in a few moves like a dragon. This did not match the glib-tongued electrician's image in Huang Dejun's mind. This was how Huang Dejun truly thought of the people in the apartment building. Even thought he would smile towards them, deep in his heart, he looked down on these people. That Zhou Li Jun who lived close by was trash. He only knew how to crouch in his room and play games all day. That Zhang Xiaohua who worked in an insurance company was also trash. He only knew how to find his neighbors and recommended them insurance. If he did not have any contacts, why did he even enter an insurance company? As for Wei Xiaobei, who was working in a real estate company, it truly did not suit his name. He was even less than trash. With such a small wage, he still dared to call me brother. In short, if Wei Xiaobei did not call out, "Brother Huang," Huang Dejun did not dare believe that Wei Xiaobei was Wei Xiaobei. However, when Huang Dejun confirmed that it was Wei Xiaobei, he immediately sat on the ground. He was ruthlessly frightened before and even chased by the giant black scorpion. Now that he suddenly realized that he was safe, the terror slowly sunk in, draining all his energy. Seeing Huang Dejun, whose face was covered in snot and tears, Wei Xiaobei did not know whether to laugh or cry. If it was before, Wei Xiaobei had slightly revered Huang Dejun. After all, Huang Dejun was only 30 years old, yet he was able to become a small leader in a branch office of a multinational company in such a big city like Chuehu City. This was already very amazing. At the very least, the Wei Xiaobei from before entering the dust world would not be able to do the same thing. However, Huang Dejun's girlfriend was Li Lanxing. In the past, Wei Xiaobei had received her care. As a result, when Huang Dejun fought with Li Lanxing, Wei Xiaobei had a bit of ill will against Huang Dejun. "Brother Huang, are you okay?" Wei Xiaobei retrieved a half-drunk bottle of water from his backpack and gave it to Huang Dejun. Wei Xiaobei was not a saint. He could help others, but he would not be enthusiastic when doing it. Giving Huang Dejun half a bottle of water was already giving Li Lanxing enough face. Seeing the bottle of water, Huang Dejun was happy beyond expectation. He twisted the bottle cap and poured the contents down his throat, only stopping when a small layer of water was left. Seeing Huang Dejun's appearance, Wei Xiaobei originally wanted to stop him from finishing it. After all, water was a hard-to-find resource in the dust world. If he did not economize water, he would suffer in the end. "What? There is water in Lake Chui. Why don't you try to get 2 bottles yourself?" At the very least, Wei Xiaobei did not have any plans to go to Lake Chui due to the dangers there. So good. If it was the previous Huang Dejun, he would not be willing to drink water that others had drunk from before. He thought that if there was saliva, it could be infectious and had bacteria and whatnot, it could even cause stomach cancer. However, Huang Dejun could not be bothered about such thing now. His only choices were dying of thirst or stomach cancer. Huang Dejun did not hesitate and chose stomach cancer. At the very least, he would not die immediately. "Xiaobei, is there any food?" After drinking the water, Huang Dejun's spirit was invigorated. His face smiled happily and asked Wei Xiaobei. You could not even see the contempt that he previously had for Wei Xiaobei. It was as if they had always been good brothers. Sigh. Wei Xiaobei sighed in his mind. In reality, he still had not made any plans for Huang Dejun's sudden appearance. How should I deal with this Huang Dejun? There was no mistake, how should I deal with him? In the first place, Wei Xiaobei looked at Huang Dejun as a rival in the dust world. Wei Xiaobei had clearly understood this when he saw the girl being eaten by the lickers in Chuehu University. Secondly, he asked himself if Huang Dejun would leak out the existence of the dust world or not. Or would he expose Wei Xiaobei to others? This was the question that Wei Xiaobei worried about the most. The dust world was not a place that could be entered even if science and technology had developed for 1,000 years. People might not also believe in Huang Dejun's words. However, these things were hard to say. If in the millionth chance that someone actually believed him and gained an interest in the dust world, Huang Dejun would be their first target, and their next would be him. After entering the dust world, Wei Xiaobei had treated reality as a safety camp where he could rest properly. If one day this safety was compromised, Wei Xiaobei could easily imagine how difficult the situation would be. Should I let Huang Dejun be my ally? Wei Xiaobei bitterly smiled. He was not a child that had just left school. The human heart was unfathomable. The popular history of China in 3 volumes by Chao Yu Zhang had already confirmed this irrefutable truth. An honest and sincere-looking hotel owner could kill a person for the sake of money. Brothers from the same parent could even kill each other for the throne. Many people could do unimaginable bad things if they had a purpose. In truth, just thinking about his had given Wei Xiaobei a bit of a headache. Towards these things, even the genius Albert Einstein could not read the human heart. What's more, Wei Xiaobei faintly felt that Huang Dejun was filled with enmity towards him. Although Huang Dejun did not show it, Wei Xiaobei still knew. However, killing Huang Dejun just like that made him hesitate. I'm conserving food. Food is harder to find in this place. It might appear that Wei Xiaobei had thought about a lot of things, but in reality only a breath of time had passed. After taking out a string of hardtacks and giving it to Huang Dejun, Wei Xiaobei began asking him questions. When Huang Dejun obtained the hardtack, he immediately stuffed it into his mouth like a hungry wolf. He had almost choked on it, making him drink the last drops of water in the bottle. Then he impatiently looked at Wei Xiaobei. First, tell me, how did you come here? Wei Xiaobei was a bit impatient, but after giving Huang Dejun an inch, Huang Dejun wanted a mile. If Wei Xiaobei had given Huang Dejun all the water and food in his backpack, he would have to retreat the desert to replenish the food and water. Wei Xiaobei did not want to have such a troublesome thing happen. Seeing Wei Xiaobei's face become a bit frightening, Huang Dejun was startled. At this time, he was truly afraid that Wei Xiaobei would just leave him there without care. After all, from Huang Dejun's point of view, although Wei Xiaobei holding the great spear was strange and did not match his image of him, he knew that staying beside him was still safer. As a result, Huang Dejun did not dare dilly-dally. He immediately recounted how he entered the dust world and the things that happened to him there. My name is Huang Dejun. I am the manager of a multinational corporation. Naturally, only at the Chuihu City branch of the company. I have my own dreams and plans. I want to strive for the department manager before the age of 31. At the age of 32, I will be the assistant director, and at 33 become the director. At the age of 35 become the vice chairman. However, my mood has been unpleasant these few periods of time. For the first part, because my girlfriend had found out about the small matters that men did behind their women's backs, she had actually said that we should break up. After being in a cold war for a period of time, I had admitted my mistake. After all, it was my fault that I did not protect my lower part. However, on that evening, I had discovered Li Lan Xing's secret. This loathsome woman actually dreamed about other men and even called it ecstasy. Moreover, it was that wretch Wei Xiaobei. Drink, drink, drink. If I could, I would be willing to never wake up. However, what I encountered after waking up was a nightmare. My God, what is this place? It's actually a desert. What is actually happening here? My God. What is that? Why is there such a huge scorpion there? It entered the sand and left a protrusion. It's coming over here. Run. I have to get away. I have not yet become the director and fulfilled my life's dream. That idiotic scorpion actually chased after me. Luckily, I was saved before I lost all my strength. Unexpectedly, my benefactor was Wei Xiaobei, the one who placed me into an extremely bad mood. As an elite, I must determine when I am first. I must cover up my fury first. In the next opportunity, I will get rid of him. I don't know how I got here, Huang Dejun mumbled. Wei Xiaobei stared at Huang Dejun, attempting to see something. Wei Xiaobei felt that there was something not right with Huang Dejun from the beginning to the end. I truly do not know. Huang Dejun's anger was about to erupt. As a graduate from a famous college and riding a successful wave in his work, Huang Dejun had developed an extremely arrogant nature. Moreover, he was in front of Wei Xiaobei, so he found it difficult to control his mood. Wei Xiaobei retrieved his gaze and smiled as if there was nothing wrong, nothing. Brother Huang, just follow me in the future, I will bring you out of here. After saying this, Wei Xiaobei carried his great spear and continued to advance towards the fiery red mountain range. In his heart, he knew that Huang Dejun was about to flare out. Whether it was his expression, or the impatience in Huang Dejun's eyes, and even his clenched hands proved this fact. Moreover, Wei Xiaobei guessed that this had a certain relation to him. Could it be that because Huang Dejun and Li Lanxing fought, he wanted to take it out on me? Wei Xiaobei thought for a while, but it was difficult to deduce things with just this much information. Huang Dejun looked at Wei Xiaobei, who was gradually climbing up the mountain. He stopped controlling his expression and looked at Wei Xiaobei's back as he secretly cursed before following after him. He knew that in this mysterious and strange place, if he wanted to live he must rely on the trash named Wei Xiaobei. Although he was cursing Wei Xiaobei as trash in his heart, he couldn't help but notice how he was not a match for Wei Xiaobei in this place. This made the anger in his heart flare up even more. The idea of murder became increasingly appealing by the minute. Wei Xiaobei walked in front, but he could faintly feel Huang Dejun's gaze on his back. This kind of gaze carried enmity. Wei Xiaobei had this sudden realization and contemplated for a while. Then he stopped moving and asked Huang Dejun with a smile, "Brother Huang, I saw that you had a quarrel with Sister Lan. Are you okay?" When Huang Dejun heard it, his rage suddenly soared and opened his mouth, "If it wasn't for nothing. We have already reconciled." After saying a bit, Huang Dejun sobered up and immediately changed his words while suppressing the rage in his heart. "It's good if there's nothing wrong," Wei Xiaobei chuckled. He turned around and continued walking. However, his previous judgment was correct. Huang Dejun really did have enmity against him. Moreover, it was not shallow and even carried killing intent with it. Sigh. It seems that I cannot leave him be. Wei Xiaobei was not a person who never went against anyone. If the other party did not have enmity against him, he would help that person. However, if the other party did have enmity against him and even carried killing intent, he was not an idiot that would place himself on the chopping board. Indecisiveness lead to disaster. However, before this, Wei Xiaobei planned to have Huang Dejun show his value. After all, in the dust world, Wei Xiaobei did not dare say that he was unparalleled. If he had a cannon fodder when encountering a strong enemy, he would, without a doubt, be able to increase his survivability. Thinking about this, Wei Xiaobei suddenly discovered that he had already become a bit hard-hearted. On the path that they moved on, the two of them had been ambushed by giant black scorpions countless times, but it was only at most, two at the same time. Although it was not dangerous, Huang Dejun was scared half to death most of the time. After a few ambushes, Wei Xiaobei had earned 200 evolution points, giving him a total of 880 evolution points. This made Wei Xiaobei very pleased. He took the next break time as a chance to begin putting his evolution points into Bajiquan. Following the consumption of evolution points, the darkened Bajiquan words in his status panel continuously became darker. As it became darker, the word "master" had slowly disappeared. What replaced it were the words, "brought to the point of perfection." The darkened Bajiquan had also become a faint cyan color. After that, Wei Xiaobei immediately felt his brain fill up with countless human figures. These human figures were his own images. Then each of them displayed and performed different Bajiquan techniques, different forms, and even the Six Harmonies' Great Spear. Wei Xiaobei was able to perceive that when these figures were practiced in the future, his understanding of Bajiquan would become even deeper. A fierce qi had also begun to appear inside his body. Wei Xiaobei had already trained to let out qi, but it was not much and not as fierce as the current one. Wei Xiaobei was even able to faintly sense the situation inside his body. Could this be inner sight? Wei Xiaobei understood this point, but he did not forget about Huang Dejun, who was resting beside him. He tensed his right hand into a flat palm and took the opportunity when Huang Dejun was not paying attention to give him a chop to his nape. Huang Dejun did not even have the time to react and fell on the sandy ground, fainting. After dealing with Huang Dejun, Wei Xiaobei inspected his surroundings and saw that there were no movements from the giant black scorpions. He immediately stood up and took a qigong stance while taking a deep breath. He turned his intent into qi and removed all distractions from his mind as he focused on his dantian. In a flash, he sensed that the fierce qi had once again increased. Wei Xiaobei concentrated as all the qi in his entire body began to move towards his dantian. In about 5 to 6 minutes, the amount of qi in his dantian had started to cause his abdomen to hurt. Must protect the dantian. Wei Xiaobei did not dare relax. His mind continuously pooling the qi into his dantian and compressing it inside. In reality, attracting the qi into his dantian was a very difficult thing for him to do. The qi that was produced by his body did not listen to him at all. As a result, using his thoughts to transfer qi was simply using a needle to pick up sand. In simpler words, for the 100% of qi he had, he could at most move only 1% into his dantian. After a long time, Wei Xiaobei finally compressed the qi in his dantian to the limits, and a different kind of qi was suddenly born from his dantian. Wei Xiaobei couldn't help but become happy. This strand of qi was extremely similar to his previous qi, but its essence was different. Qi was something that was produced all over the body. It was a mysterious substance that could make the body strong. However, Wei Xiaobei's thoughts could not control this thing. It was just like a wild horse that ran all over the grasslands, even forcibly controlling it was hard. However, the new qi was different. It was a qi that Wei Xiaobei could control. It was controllable just like his arm movements. Wei Xiaobei was pleasantly surprised. This kind of qi also had its own description in Bejiquan, labeled as qi produced by negative jing. At the stage of attaining negative jing, this qi would naturally be born. It could link up to a person's acupuncture points to cleanse the blood channels and internal organs, and strengthen the muscles, bones, skin, and flesh. Moreover, when a person attained the neutral yung level, they could use special techniques to cleanse the body like leopard's thunderous roar, resulting in strengthened organs and blood. Wei Xiaobei could not suppress the happiness in his heart. He urged the qi in his dantian to move. When the qi moved inside the dantian and made contact with the gathered uncontrollable qi, the uncontrollable qi gradually merged with the qi. Slowly, the qi began to grow bigger. If the qi was previously thinner than a strand of hair, then after circling the dantian once, it had increased a few times in size. After the strand of qi circulated a few times, the uncontrollable qi in his dantian had disappeared a lot. A continuous stream of uncontrollable qi still flowed into his dantian, maintaining a certain amount inside. Wei Xiaobei's actions were like playing feeding frenzy. He kept moving his qi, making it grow continuously. After a long while, Wei Xiaobei felt a piercing pain in his brain. He immediately withdrew from the state of viewing the internals of his body. He rubbed his head as he knew that the reason for this was because he was in the state of inner sight for a long time. His spirit had even been drained by a bit. Wei Xiaobei cast a glance at Huang Dejun. Luckily, Huang Dejun had not yet woken up. He estimated that less than an hour had passed. Wei Xiaobei's inner sight state was already very risky. Whether it was the giant black scorpions or Huang Dejun, both of them were a threat to him. Just disturbing him would be enough to deal a lot of damage. When he raised his Bejiquan to the next level, the fierce uncontrollable qi had appeared. This kind of opportunity was hard to come by. As a result, he had no choice but to take the risk. Wei Xiaobei laid down on the sand for a while. After he suppressed the pain in his mind, he did not return back to the inner sight state and continued moving his qi. Instead, he took a look at his status panel. Leveling up Bejiquan this time cost him 300 evolution points. This was confirmed by him. In a normal situation, rising from master to the point of perfection would probably require 500 evolution points. However, because he had breakthroughs in fighting and training, the amount of evolution points needed to level up Bajiquan had decreased. Brought up to the point of perfection, Wei Xiaobei could not suppress his joy. He suddenly jumped up from the ground and raised his fists in the air with delight. After a round, Wei Xiaobei became more comfortable. After reaching the point of perfection, his understanding of Bajiquan did not only deepen, but he had also broken through the wall of positive Jing and entered the realm of negative Jing. If he only looked at his status panel, there were no apparent changes to his status values. However, he himself knew that his own power had increased by 3 times just by entering the negative Jing realm, or maybe just by 2.5 times. In other words, his status values had all increased by 25%, which might be a hidden property. After drinking 2 mouthfuls of water to replenish his body's fluids, Wei Xiaobei lightly kicked Huang Dejun's armpit. Soon, Huang Dejun let out a sound and woke up from his coma. "Are you up? We will leave immediately." Wei Xiaobei stated these commands and continued walking forward. Huang Dejun rubbed his stiff body, which was from lying on the sand. He hatefully glared at Wei Xiaobei and followed behind him. For Huang Dejun, his mind was in a panic. He was panicking not only about this strange world but also about Wei Xiaobei. He did not know if Wei Xiaobei had discovered his thoughts, but he was extremely suspicious of Wei Xiaobei for knocking him unconscious. However, Huang Dejun did not have any other choice at the moment. He could only follow behind Wei Xiaobei, attempting to figure out what kind of place this was. Afterwards, he could save himself and find an opportunity to get rid of Wei Xiaobei completely. Towards Huang Dejun's hateful glare at his back, Wei Xiaobei only felt a slight sensation of pain and immediately understood that this was Huang Dejun's gaze. This was one of the benefits of the negative Jing realm. Wei Xiaobei would be able to immediately know if someone was looking at him as long as they concentrated on any part of his body. The place where he was stared at would have a response as if he was being poked by someone with a needle. The only regret he had was that his negative Jing realm did not appear in his status panel. As a result, he could not use evolution points to level it up. While thinking about this, Wei Xiaobei did not pay any attention to Huang Dejun. In his eyes, Huang Dejun was already a corpse that was not far from death. The contempt and scorn that was directed at Wei Xiaobei had allowed him to realize something. As long as it was a person, you should not look down on them. Even if you were stronger, there were many cases where it did not mean that you couldn't manipulate the other party. Huang Dejun did not harm himself, but his actions would. 20% of Wei Xiaobei's attention was directed towards the road and his immediate surroundings, while 80% of his focus was on his status panel. After using 300 evolution points to level up his Bajiquan, Wei Xiaobei was left with 580 evolution points. After pondering for a bit, Wei Xiaobei increased the sub-attributes under his agility by 1 point each, raising his overall agility to 13 points. 13 points of agility had made Wei Xiaobei feel like he had become slightly faster. Even if the ground was made of sand, he felt that his body would not easily lose balance. Naturally, this was not the only benefit of raising his agility's sub-attributes. His sight, flexibility, and other characteristics of his body have also leveled up. Just by raising his hand-eye coordination to 13 points, he felt that he roughly had the same eyesight comparable to an excellent sniper. Where should I put the last 180 points? Wei Xiaobei slowed down his movement. Huang Dejun glared at him once more, but he quickly hung his head down and followed behind him. Huang Dejun did not know what Wei Xiaobei was thinking about. Naturally, from Huang Dejun's point of view, Wei Xiaobei stole his wife, so they were absolutely irreconcilable. Just from Huang Dejun's hung down but twisted expression and wriggling mouth, it was enough to tell that he hated Wei Xiaobei to the very core of his being. 180 evolution points were too few. They were so few that it was difficult to make an impactful effect by placing them in any of his sub-attributes. Should I put them in my skills? Wei Xiaobei looked at his skills and swept a glance at them. Skills: shooting, intermediate; military boxing, intermediate; electrical work, beginner; Bajiquan, perfection; fishing, beginner; 3 Emperor Cannon Fist, beginner. There were a total of 6 skills. The 3 Emperor Cannon Fist was the first to be eliminated from his choices. With his Bajiquan brought to the point of perfection, putting points into 3 Emperor Cannon Fist would not be useful at all and was just a waste of points. Military boxing was also the same, so that was eliminated. Fishing and electrical work could only be considered as life skills, so they were also eliminated. As for shooting, it was slightly useful in reality, but its uses were not that big. After all, obtaining a gun in real life was a hard thing to do. Moreover, even if Wei Xiaobei wanted to flout the law with his current skills, he did not need to use a gun. Just like that, his skills were eliminated from the choices. Wei Xiaobei then looked at his special skill, release electricity. The amount of help that this skill gave Wei Xiaobei in the past was not small. However, the voltage and electric current were at their limit. The amount of uses for this special skill had decreased by a lot. Furthermore, discharging it would not help it rise anymore. The special skill was strong but also weak. The strong point was that if an enemy relied on its brain to command the body and was unable to resist electric current, then Wei Xiaobei would be able to cause paralysis, thereby causing the enemy to lose all resistance. The weak point was that if the enemy was able to ignore the electric current, then this trump card was useless. In reality, the amount of monsters that were able to ignore the electric current was not many, but there were still a few. An example would be the zombies and the tree spirits. As for the Miss Draconic Horse and the Citizen of Longbow, Wei Xiaobei did not know if it would be effective, but even if they were effective, the effect would most definitely not be much. However, the special skill was still strong. Wei Xiaobei was not willing to just put this special skill on the back burner. As a result, he stopped moving, and after a slight hesitation, he placed the points into this special skill. At this time, Wei Xiaobei noticed that if he wanted to increase his special skill, it would not be that simple. This was because he could not directly put his evolution points into release electricity. There were in fact 2 ways to place points in the skill. One was to put it in the voltage, the other was to put it into electric current. After thinking for a bit, Wei Xiaobei concentrated on the voltage. His evolution points quickly decreased as the voltage level of his special skill increased. This process caught Wei Xiaobei off guard. 1 evolution point could increase the voltage by 1 volt. If I placed 180 evolution points into this, wouldn't the voltage increase to 220 volts? In reality, this kind of highly efficient increase was not without limit. After reaching 50 volts, the amount of evolution points to increase the voltage by 1 had increased to 2. After reaching 100 volts, Wei Xiaobei stopped putting points in and turned his attention to the electric current. In the same manner, the electric current had an initial exchange ratio of 1:1. When it reached 50 mA, the evolution point required had increased to 2:1. After leaving his evolution points at 1 point, release electricity's voltage had increased to 101 volts and the electric current increased to 62 mA. Let alone monsters, this kind of electricity was enough of a threat to humans. Leaving aside voltage, when the electric current was between 50 to 80 mA in an alternating current, it was enough to paralyze a human's breathing and cause the heart to tremble. In other words, if the electrical shock exceeded half an hour, there was no hope saving the person. They would have already entered cardiac arrest from the electric shock. If it was direct current, 50 mA was enough to cause a burning sensation in the body. The muscles would spasm, and breathing would become difficult. This was the same result as reaching 30 mA in an alternating current. Since the beginning, the type of electric current that Wei Xiaobei released was an alternating current. This meant that if someone dared to touch his body, Wei Xiaobei only needed to release electricity, and it would immediately paralyze the other person's breathing and make their bodies stand stiff. Although it was not able to instantly kill, it was still equivalent to giving Wei Xiaobei full control of the fate of a person. Just this point alone meant that the majority of Guoshu experts could no longer compare to Wei Xiaobei. Naturally, this was only when they were oblivious to Wei Xiaobei's special skill. Guoshu experts would normally have an abundance of experience. As soon as they found out about Wei Xiaobei's special skill, they would immediately adopt measures against it, thereby decreasing the threat that it caused. However, Wei Xiaobei's skills was still something that could be called a strong attack and defense measure. Wei Xiaobei made a rough estimate: he could continuously release electricity for 2 hours on a full stomach. In other words, as long as Wei Xiaobei did not continuously release his electricity, then he could use it as long as it did not reach a cumulative of 2 hours. This was already sufficient enough for use. After all, Wei Xiaobei would not use this skill for no reason. With this ability to protect himself, as long as a normal person did not carry firearms, they would not even be a threat to Wei Xiaobei. If he just poked Huang Dejun, who was following behind him, he would probably be left close to death. After thinking about this, Wei Xiaobei grabbed the great spear that was inserted into the sand. He used both hands to bend it around his waist and tied it there. After warming up a bit, he felt that the great spear bound on his waist had slightly affected his movements, though not by too much. Seeing Wei Xiaobei bind the 3-meter-long great spear around his waist, Huang Dejun's eyes widened. He was puzzled as to what kind of object the great spear was. He had previously seen its killing power when it was used against the giant black scorpion, and saw that it was very flexible. However, being able to bind it around the waist had truly exceeded Huang Dejun's imagination. However, despite being extremely curious, he did not dare ask about it. Seeing that Wei Xiaobei began to move again, he could only follow behind. Naturally, as time passed, the anxiety in Huang Dejun's heart became more intense. If he knew that following the path Wei Xiaobei came from would take him to the end of the desert, he would have charged back without hesitation. At this time, his own life was 1,000,000 times more important than the thought of killing Wei Xiaobei. The only problem was that, after he reached the end of the desert, death may not be as far as he thought. After walking for 200 meters, Wei Xiaobei discovered 2 sand dunes that were quite far apart from each other, forming a valley of sand in between them. Standing at the top of one of the sand dunes, Wei Xiaobei's face became cold when he saw a large number of protrusions in this valley. It meant that there were many giant black scorpions hiding under the valley. Even with his current strength, Wei Xiaobei could only flee in defeat when faced with more than 10 giant black scorpions. If there were more than that, then he would probably die. The valley itself was very wide. Making a detour around it would probably waste more than an hour of time. The amount of time Wei Xiaobei could stay inside the dust world was approaching 5 hours, but returning back to the apartment building would be impossible if he took the detour. It would take at least half an hour to reach the fiery red mountain range. After thinking for a bit, he let Huang Dejun wait on top of the sand dune while he slowly walked down. Huang Dejun was still useful at the moment. If Wei Xiaobei dumped him here, it would be a waste. After walking down the sand dune, he was faced with the valley. About 200 meters in front of him, there stood 37 protrusions poking out of the sand. Wei Xiaobei contemplated for a bit and slightly adjusted his direction while approaching a protrusion. He needed to test how far the giant black scorpions could sense movement. 50 meters. 30 meters. 20 meters. Rustle. Whoosh. After he had approached 20 meters from the protrusion that was closest to him moved toward Wei Xiaobei. Wei Xiaobei found out that the scorpion's ability to sense movement in the sand was limited to a 20-meter radius. This was not small. However, this had given Wei Xiaobei hope of passing through the valley. Because the initial protrusion had moved, 3 protrusions that were 20 meters from it had been disturbed. But as the initial protrusion distanced itself, the 3 protrusions also settled down. Seeing this, Wei Xiaobei retreated back towards the slope by about 10 meters before stopping. He concentrated on the approaching protrusion. 10 meters. 8 meters. 6 meters. Whoosh! The protrusion came out like an explosion. Grains of sand exploded out all over the place. The giant black scorpion pounced out and raised its stinger. It then Thursday-ted it towards Wei Xiaobei with lightning speed. The stinger attack of the scorpion was fast. It had even exceeded the speed visible to the naked eye. However, its body was slow, and its tail length was short as well. As a result, Wei Xiaobei was able to dodge the attack by just taking a step backwards. As expected, placing points into agility was truly helpful. Wei Xiaobei sensed a speed that he never experienced before. His body quickly moved, dodging every attack of the scorpion. A normal person's agility was about 7 to 9 points. A special forces soldier's agility would be about 11 to 13 points. Due to having a high strength attribute, Wei Xiaobei could not fully display his 13-point agility, but even if it was like this, it was still praiseworthy. At the very least, it allowed Wei Xiaobei to not look like a clumsy elephant. Moreover, his speed was still faster than a normal person. Seeing Wei Xiaobei, who was dodging the attacks of the scorpion, Huang Dejun's heart was in conflict. Part of him hoped that Wei Xiaobei would be killed by the scorpion, but the other half was not willing to have Wei Xiaobei die to the scorpion. If he truly died, Huang Dejun would be in danger and might even be eaten by the scorpion. Wei Xiaobei did not care about the turmoil in Huang Dejun's heart. After dodging for more than 10 times, he had adapted to the speed of the giant black scorpion's tail movements. During the moment the tail thrust out, he took advantage of the gap of time to give the scorpion's back shell an electrically charged punch. The 2 pincers of the scorpion approached Wei Xiaobei, but he lightly kicked the sand to quickly retreat a few meters from them. In reality, the 2 pincers were not much of a threat to him compared to the tail. Even if Wei Xiaobei was caught in between them, his strength would allow him to easily break free. Wei Xiaobei was slightly disappointed. The electrically charged fist of his did not affect the scorpion at all. The fact that sparks were not even created by his attack meant that the scorpion's back shell was immune to electrical attacks. When he thought about it, he realized that materials with a certain amount of electrical resistance should be able to easily block electric currents. The small number of people who died from electrocution in the modern world that is surrounded by electrical devices proved this fact. However, Wei Xiaobei was not discouraged by this. He once again charged forward and took advantage of the moment the tail pulled back to grab the middle portion of the scorpion's tail. Crack! Wei Xiaobei used his strength to snap the tail. A horrible smelling liquid came out from the broken part of the tail. Next, sparks flashed as an electric current flowed along the stinky liquid to the scorpion's body. Under the effects of the electric current, the counter-attacking scorpion immediately became weak. Bang! 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 Wei Xiaobei punched continuously against the back shell of the scorpion. He believed that even if the scorpion did not die from electrocution, its heart underneath its shell should have at least been turned to mush. What Wei Xiaobei was doing now was testing skills that used inner energy that he obtained from upgrading Bajiquan to perfection. Boom! By creating strong vibrations in an appropriate body part of an opponent and borrowing the power of physics, he should be able to destroy an enemy's 5 viscera, 6 bowels, and other organs. However, this kind of skill was still unfamiliar to Wei Xiaobei, so he needed to train in it. Wei Xiaobei assumed that if it was his master, Cheng Bai Wu, one punch would be enough for him to kill a giant black scorpion. His master was not like him, who needed to make the giant black scorpion faint from electricity, trying to find the right place to hit and requiring a myriad of hits before being able to kill it. Even if that was the case, Wei Xiaobei was still proud of himself. The scorpion was covered with a layer of chitin shell. It was extremely hard. If its hardness was to be compared to something, it would be as hard as a car's outer frame. In simpler terms, it was like a layer of steel. Seeing Wei Xiaobei kill the giant black scorpion in the end, Huang Dejun let out a sigh of relief, but he felt a little bit of regret. Wei Xiaobei pulled out the white mist dagger from his waist and pierced the scorpion's shell. Although the scorpion's shell was extremely hard, the white mist dagger with its corrosive property had easily opened up a hole in the scorpion's shell. With a pull, a crack was formed on the shell. After repeating the same action on different parts of the shell had been divided into pieces. Wei Xiaobei extended his hand and removed one piece of it, revealing the yellow meat under the shell. Soon after, a fishy smell rose up to his face, making Wei Xiaobei frown.